do this.
Hey, everybody on YouTube. We are back for 2021. I am Dave Scott. I'm the guy on the microphone. Horrible hair. Had to put the bandana on tonight. But I'm sure, after a good night of hanging out, watching the clock turn, saying goodbye, good riddance to 2020, I really don't give a shit about my hair tonight. I'm going to be honest. It looks horrible. It is showered and clean, though. I will say that. So, anywho, let's give a rundown of everyone who is here. We kick it off with the gorgeous Steph Dickey in the gold medal position. In the silver, we have the stunning Renee, Cat Chaser, the awesome Cat Chaser, coming in third. The Ronald Penton. Honorable mention for the Ronald Penton. Hi, Long Island Bigfoot. Albert, good to see you. Jessica McCreary, you don't look a day over 35 today, even though you're probably only, 27. I'm going to say that. But, I don't know. Your hair looks gorgeous. Oh, there she is, everyone. There she is. Look at that. Look at that. Becky Belling. The gorgeous Becky Belling is back, everyone. Hi, awesome Kristen Allberg. Brett Lewis is here, which means we can officially start the show. Hey, Pepper, you're looking a little salty to start the year. Mal, good to see you. Commonwealth Andrew, good to have you back. Hungry Burrito, thank you for coming on in. Vinster, always a pleasure. The lovely and talented Nicole Sakach will be joining us with our Keith Andrews. Hello, gorgeous Nicole. You're gorgeous. And the Millennium is back. Yes, the Millennium of the Century. There he is. There he is. Rex, good to have you here. Wow, I cannot believe it. For the first time in 2021, we have the gorgeous and talented Manitoba Becky. She will be signing autographs with Nicole after the show. So make sure you line up on the right for both of them. Bring your own Sharpie. It costs $12 an autograph. Rican, how you doing, man? Good to have you here. And Robert Two Crows, good to have you back. Jarhead, one of our favorite veterans who listens to this show. Thank you for everything you do, my friend. We appreciate it. We are 31 away from 10,000. 31. Jim Lucier, good to have you back, man. Greg, thank you for coming on in. Noble Patrick, Showtime, always a pleasure. Reptilian Overlord, or Reptilian, I spell it properly, Overlord. Damn it, man. I can't talk that well. It's a new year. Anyways, good to have you back. Chris Jarvis, thank you for joining us. Yola Tango, always a pleasure to have you here. Marty Burbick, welcome here, man. Welcome. You're always welcome here. Lord of Land is here, everyone. Lord of Land. Make sure you say hello to him. Sir Wolf, how you doing? Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Good to have you here. Stuart Blodwell. Big Bad Stu is here, everyone. Eugene, my brother. I love you, man. Happy New Year to you. Football Cat, welcome to the new year. And Spaced Out Radio, thank you for joining us. Not sure if this is your first time in our chat room, but if it is, welcome. Hey, oh, there he is, everyone. He is in his lovely Americana Speedo. The lovely and talented Larry Schulte is here, everyone. Lord of Land, good to have you. Joshua, thanks for coming on in. Hey, Swamp Monkey, Persevere, good to have both of you back. Bat Mom, always a pleasure. Boo, to go 66. Christian Alberg, wow, that's amazing. Thank you for the awesome super chat. I really do appreciate that. Thank you. Susan Donahue, welcome to the show. We love you here, Susan. Thank you for joining us. And Sarah Colantonio, welcome. You're looking lovely and talented tonight. Somebody get a BIM Gym. A BIM Gym, everyone. How you doing, brother? In BC, Boss Monster, good to have you here. Where am I? Oh, geez, it jumped again. We're only about, a minute 21 away. Stargate, good to have you here. Larry Sobalski, thanks for joining us. And that's where we are. And BBD Warrior, Happy New Year, and January 2nd to you already. McGolden, good to have you back. Drake, how you doing? Mark Ellens, good to see you. TMI Anon, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us in our chat room. And let's see. Hey, Dale Coots, welcome to our chat room. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate that. Who else am I missing here? I know I'm missing someone here. Pretty sure. Or maybe I'm caught up. Son of a gun. I think I'm caught up. We're just waiting for our Keith Andrews. He's working. He is. We're going to start this feed right here. So that one's going. Horns, the booking guy, is somewhere. Hey, Kim Jellin, how are you? Hey, Ibarata, welcome. Good to see you back, man. Thank you for joining us. our big man in Singapore there. And let's see, who else do we got here? I don't know. A good way to support this show is by hitting that thumbs up button, hitting the thumbs down. You can do a little shopping at facebook.com/the SOR Vault. We appreciate that. And the super chat is open here on YouTube. We're going to have a hell of a show here starting in about 15 seconds. R. Keith Andrews, Nicole Sakach, the ET Connection. It's going to be great. My hair looks horrible, but that's okay. It's a brand new year. Everything is positive. Hey, Snakes on a UFO, good to see you. Here we go, everyone. Central British Columbia to you listening around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. You can listen to all of our archives for free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram @Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirt's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. To begin each month, and this time to begin a brand new year, why not start with some major woo? Because that's what we do really, really well around here, and we're going to continue that here in 2021, as this is our first show of the brand new year. ET contactee R. Keith Andrews is here for the ET Connection. He is a lifelong extraterrestrial experiencer. He now uses his gifts to help him help you. He's been doing this for more than 30 years, been in touch with over 50 extraterrestrial species, so he says, and he now counsels people who have had their own abduction and contact experiences to the point where he can let them know what's going on, whether it's good, whether it's bad, or whether it's something that needs to be eradicated. We are also joined tonight by Nicole Sakach, special guest, as she is an experiencer as well, and she is also research assistant to the famed Grant Cameron, who placed number 7 on my top 10 researchers of 2020. You can find that at spacedoutradio.com and uapresearch.com. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Nicole Sakach, we are waiting on our Keith Andrews, who is still technically working right now. So you and I are going to kick this thing off. Happy New Year to you, my friend.
Happy New Year to you and to everybody listening. It's a great way to start the year.
Oh yes, we're going to get Keith in here right now because Keith works on the phone. He works from home, and sometimes for this first hour of the show, if the phone rings, well, he's got to take it because he is on duty. But as of right now, Keith is not. How you doing, Keith? Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too, and Happy New Year to everybody else.
Absolutely. We appreciate you being here and everybody else. And I got to tell you, it's been an interesting 12 months with everything, with, everybody being locked down, then not locked down, people getting sick. And, but it's funny. The more people stayed at home, the more UFOs, Keith and Nicole, people saw. Keith, we're going to start with you on that one. Did you see an increase in UFO activity and alien activity?
Me personally, no, but then when you're seeing it as much as I am, it becomes a little hard to increase it.
And how about for you, Nicole?
Well, I had one major sighting this year, but I would say all those experiencer symptoms sure have been playing this year.
And that's something actually, Keith, that Nicole brings up that is actually pretty good is the experiencers and the way that changes them. We've had a number of new experiencers this year come out and say, for the first time, I saw some weird lights in the sky. This really was a year that's gone by in 2020, Keith, that really, really pushed the limits to a lot of people having their own eyes see something strange in the sky.
Yes, there's been a lot more of that I've been catching wind of. As far as more people going, hey, I believed in it for a long time, but now I'm seeing it.
What do you think changed?
Well, part of it is vibratory rate. People are actually getting a little bit more used to the concept that it's not actually that bad of a thing. But that's the biggest one. People are being a little bit more open to it, so they're a little bit more willing to say something.
And there's Keith's phone. He'll have to take that call, and we'll bring Nicole in here for the time being. Nicole, in regards to the fact that people are having that first-time experience, I mean, we can always say that it has to deal with, the fact that we're stuck at home. We're stuck here. We have nothing to do, so we're outside and checking the sky at night. And a lot of those sightings that people were having here in 2020, as we now lead into 2021, do you think they were satellites because people aren't used to staring up in the sky?
I think, like with any cases and with sky watching, I think the more you do it, the better you get at it. And I do believe that there's been an uptick in sightings report, but I still think we need to look at the data and how it's always been over the last, decades, has been that sweet spot of whatever is reported, about 5% is still unknown and marked unknown. So I think maybe we have seen a spike in sightings, but I think the actual UFOs are probably the same amount of numbers. But I haven't looked into it fully. But I don't know. I think sky watchers are savvy these days. I think they're smart enough to use the apps to locate satellites and stars and planes. Those are all tools that are at our ready. And I don't think people who have been doing this fall prey to those satellites or the iridium flares or whatever people often misidentify. I do think the word is getting out on educating on how to be a better sky watcher.
What do you think, Keith, is the main reason for people opening up to what's flying in the sky right now?
Well, oddly enough, part of it is depression. And what I mean by that is people are so fed up with the mess down here, they're looking for a way out. And I know that sounds a little bizarre, but that is literally what it seems to be the problem. Or it seems to be getting people to look skyward a lot more. If you're fed up looking at what's sitting in front of you, you're going to look elsewhere. And up is just the best place to look, especially if you want to see UFOs.
Okay, so the stuff that people are seeing in the sky, Keith, regarding what they consider UFOs, how much of it really is? And it's the same thing I asked Nicole while you had to quickly take a call there. Do you believe that it has to do with the fact that, most people who are staring up at the sky these days, they couldn't tell a UFO from a satellite, from a drone, from an airplane?
Well, by definition, a UFO is anything that's up there that you can't identify. That being said, of off-world craft, which is what you really seem to be asking, I'd say likely about 20% of what they're seeing are actually off-world craft.
You think so?
I'd be inclined to say it's highly probable. The xeno-socioeconomic evolution at this point in time is extremely fascinating from the off-world standpoint.
Okay. All right. So the fact that people are having these sightings and they can't really tell, I mean, how much should we actually put into that as it's a real UFO? And Nicole, I'm going to get your response right after Keith's.
Of the ones reported, I'd be inclined to say you're likely looking about 75% of what's being reported are actual vehicles that they can't necessarily identify. And even if they could, they wouldn't be able to recognize.
Okay. Nicole, what do you think?
Well, to hit back on what I mentioned just a few minutes ago, I do think people are more tech savvy these days and are educated about something in the sky. They will pull out their apps and try to determine what it is. And I also think with how much ufology has been, well, I can't say that it's been in the mainstream media a lot, but for this past year, it has been. And I think that has people curious. I think they probably have been curious since 2017. But like you said, now that we're stuck at home and we're of our surroundings, and back when the weather was nicer and we could get out more, I think that probably prompted people to probably pay attention more. You know, if they've heard this in the news and they've heard United States senators talking about it and all this threat talk that we hear from certain factions, you know, I think people are curious. And I don't think it just stops at a general curiosity. I think people are seriously looking at ufology and trying to educate themselves on it. So I think with that self-education comes the reporting. I think more reports happen because we're getting the word out and people know what to do when they do spot something in the sky.
Right. Keith, in the last 12 months leading into now 2021, where we are now, I got to ask you, did we see an increase in certain types of craft and extraterrestrial beings coming to the planet?
Yes. In the past 12 months, there has been a staggering influx of the fringe races. And what I mean by the fringe is I don't mean they're weird races. They're just on the backside of the Consortium's area, and they're just making forays out here now.
So are there new species?
There are new species showing up in the area. This is one of the reasons why I'm working, I'm hoping that I will have Volume 2 dealt with by the end of the year.
Okay.
Plus, expanding on the first one. But yeah, we are getting a staggering number of races.
So how do you find out about these new races coming to town?
Well, from my standpoint, it's quite easy. You go up to the Consortiums, up to their conference ships, and, they're there.
Go into detail. I'm not used to you not giving detail, man.
Well, basically it boils down to this. I've mentioned before their flagship. Right. Well, their conference ships, and I wish I could actually draw, but, that's just not one of my strong suits. Their conference ships and their research vessels are phenomenal. And they do have a staggering number of different races, especially newcomers. Races coming into the area, right, they end up coming into the area. They have to check in on the flagship first. Right. Basically to say, yeah, we're in the area. What are the rules on this planet? As far as access points go. What are we allowed to do? What can we get away with? What can't we, sort of thing. Always good idea to check with the law to find out what you're up against.
Okay, so how many new species came to the planet?
Well, exact numbers, I don't know. But I know there's at least, that I've run into personally, at least I think there's about a dozen botanical based races that are coming into the place. They're coming into the area. Botanical, as in they look like, they are not, but they look like plants around here. Right.
Hold on, plant aliens?
Yes, botanical.
How does a plant fly a spaceship?
Well, because plants aren't as helpless as you might think. I mean, even on Earth, if you take a look, if you go down into Borneo, there are trees that actually walk. Right. And then if you look them up on the internet, they're literally classified as walking trees.
That's right out of Wizard of Oz, man.
Yeah, I know. A lot of what people call science fiction is, quite frankly, unknown science. You know, if you think about it, you take a look at plants. You know, we look at plants and say they've got leaves, they've got roots. What people don't understand is when you take a look at that superstructure, it's the same one that hominids have. They have cells that form limbs, and it's those limbs and those little digits that they use to start building things. You know, so I mean, when you look at that, and then of course some of the most bizarre creatures, and I'll call them creatures, simply because I don't know a better word for it. On the whole, I call them people. But when you've got people whose mouth is literally on their forearm, like there is one race, and I'd have to look back through it to find out exactly what it was called, but I've already started documenting it, where they literally, their stomach pours out, it pops out of their forearm and envelops whatever they want to eat. Much like what a clam does. Although clams obviously don't have forearms.
Nicole, your thoughts of this woo?
Well, this was making me think back to a former conversation that we had with Keith, and it was when we were talking about species that grow their own ships. And so that's what, when he mentioned the botanicals, that's what, and you asked how they could fly a ship, that's the first thing I thought of was, well, this must be a race where they grow their own technology or grow what they need. And that's how they could interface, I guess, to fly a craft. I went full woo with that, I think.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. That's why I love talking with you, Keith. I always get to adjust my woo cap. Just when I think, it's on nice and straight, then I get more woo.
We're going to blame Dave for it now.
Why not? Why not?
Right.
You can blame me all you want. I am the woo master. Some people are the Eggmen. I am the Woorus. Cuckoo Kichu, Cuckoo Kichu. Yes, I am the Woorus. All right, Keith, as we continue on here, we got things going on with we're going to get into the Galactic Federation in the next half hour of the show, as we got about 5 minutes to go before we go to break here at the bottom of the hour. With all of these new species that are coming down, how do they get here? How do they end up finding this planet? Is it the signals we're putting out? Is there a coffee bar somewhere beyond Jupiter where all the aliens stop and they say, hey, have you been to Earth yet? How does this work?
Well, you got to remember their communication lines. Like, humans have this brilliant idea you have to have line of sight, in order to communicate.
Right.
Well, the off-worlders didn't get that. They missed that message. Off-worlders communication, and the nice part about it is I've seen the technology that does this. Off-worlder technology enables you to communicate regardless of what is physically in front of you, because it passes right through solid objects. Okay. If you had to have line of sight, you could not communicate over vast galactic distances, because you'd have to have satellites out all the way along the way. to create your jumper systems like we've got on Earth. If you want to talk from Canada down to South America, you've got to bounce it off satellite because you're just not getting it there.
The flat earthers would disagree, my friend.
The flat earthers made a real brilliant comment one day about the members of the Flat Earth Society around the globe were standing on this one idea. Now I'm not sure, but I think there's something being missed here.
Continue on.
Yeah, we could go really sideways on that.
Oh, I hear you. Nicole, your thoughts? Does Nicole have thoughts? Is she still here?
Oh, I can see her here, but she's
muted myself.
Oh, she muted herself.
She does that a lot.
My kind of stirring thoughts were, if we're seeing an increase in reports being made and we have new species visiting us for the first time, is this part of what some experiencers call the awakening that we've been preparing for, or this big change? Are these new species coming to witness that big change or interact with us throughout it?
Oh, well, not necessarily to interact, but they're definitely here to observe. This is right now at this point in human evolution, this is the most exhilarating example of xeno-socioeconomic evolution. From there, now, when you say xeno, it usually means other than. Well, they see humans as a different race. They are not their race, so they fall under the category of xeno.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they are definitely coming by to do more research, to watch more what's happening on the subquantum level, and on the basis of just exactly what kind of impact the fear base that mankind is generating right now is actually causing to the planet to the core lock it's standing on. The core lock, by the way, and you won't get any more core lock around here. There's only one that will ever be in this area, at least this close. Core locks, by the way, happen to be the actual name of the planet race, as in what you call Earth or what you call Mars. Both of these are core lock. Okay, but they don't get very close to each other. For some bizarre reason, it usually has a really detrimental effect.
All right, questions from the audience, Keith. And we'll start off with this one from Cherry Pepsi Mike here. Okay, he's asking, is there any species of a mushroom race?
Yes. And that you're going to have to give me a second on, because that's actually in book 2.
Book 2, yeah, okay. Well,
good thing
you got about 35 seconds, bud.
Okay, well, we're going to hope.
Now, are they, if you lick them, do you kind of go into a little bit of a trance, shall we say?
Wrong type of mushroom.
Okay.
But you talk about the Sparenoptin. They literally are, they look like a button mushroom, but they're a lot taller. You're looking at something that's got about a 3 foot head on it.
Perfect. On that note, Keith, I'm going to get you to hold on right there along with you, Nicole, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. We're kicking off our first show of 2021 the way it should be. Full of woo. Keith Andrews, Nicole Sakach, the ET Connection continues on Spaced Out Radio right after this, so stay tuned. You're fucking awesome, dude. Oh.
I'll tell you the ramifications of what you dropped on my lap.
Well, don't blame me. Blame Cherry Pepsi Mike.
I was referring to with Hayek.
With who?
I don't know how you pronounce
Oh,
it.
Haim Ashed. Yes, we'll get to him. Okay. Hey, Derek, how are you? Welcome to the chat room. And who else just dropped in here? Moon Bunnykins. Moon Bunnykins. Very nice name. Hey, everybody, I want you to make sure that if you're new or whatever, if you want me to get a question to Keith, do me a favor. Put your questions in capital letters. Itsy Bitsy Ya. Itsy Zaza is here. Mary Bone, she's a vegetarian, is here as well. Mario Heat, welcome. Oh, yes, Mario, you got it right. Dave promises woo, Dave giveth the woo. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what we do here. That's what we do here.
Woohoo!
Oh, it's going to be a good night. Going to be a good night. Keith, you got a haircut.
I did.
Now, how many inches of hair did you cut off? You're down.
Almost.
How much?
I took out almost 8.
Almost 8 inches of hair.
Yeah.
Holy cow, dude. What were you thinking?
I was thinking that, frankly, I got tired of having a mat in the back because I can't get to it.
My
it's
goodness.
time for a change. It really boiled down to it was time for a change, so I went scrap and I'm just dumping a lot of things. Of course, I was smart enough to make sure my other half actually wanted it short. It was happy with it being a little shorter. You know, that seemed like the reasonable thing to do.
Okay.
What, you didn't just like wait for your other half to like notice? You didn't like walk around going, honey, do you notice something different about me?
Well, 2 major factors. One is she doesn't live anywhere near me. And 2, even if she did, she wouldn't notice by looking at it. And that's nothing against her. She's 100% blind.
Aha. Touche. I was going to say guys usually don't notice when women do something with their hair. So it's a two-way street.
Well, in this case, she's got a viable reason for it.
I didn't notice that you got a haircut, Keith. I apologize. I should have noticed.
I totally.
Don't take this the wrong way, Nicole, but it doesn't bother me.
Stu Gerson. Stu Gerson is here, everyone. Right there, big bad Stu Gerson.
So Keith, did you find love during COVID? Is that what you just said? You found some online love during COVID?
Before COVID hit.
Aha.
No, I guess it was in the middle of it. Yeah, we've only seen each other now for 4 months. No, 5 months now.
Ooh.
Yeah, well, no, 4.5. So yeah, that's going where it should.
All right. Hey, Matthew Anderson, welcome to the show. By the way, message from Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Happy New Year to all the Spaced Out Radio listeners and team, and very happy and healthy 2021. Yeah. No, we'll pass that along. That's what we do. All right, we got about 1 minute here, guys. 1 minute.
And I got about 25 and then I'm off shift.
Let's go here, and we've got one more, about 30 seconds. Thank you to Fapster, Greco, and Kristen Allberg for the super chats tonight. Thank you to everybody who's given us a thumbs up and thumbs down. A great way to support this show is by the super chat and hitting that subscribe button if you're brand new to it. and do a little shopping at facebook.com/the SOR Vault. That's where we have all of our t-shirts. Here we go, guys, in 3 seconds. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us on our first broadcast of 2021. We are very much appreciative of all of you guys being here. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Tonight we continue on with the ET Connection. Our Keith Andrews is here, and we are joined by special guest Nicole Sakach. Keith, Nicole, welcome back.
Thanks for having us.
Not a problem. Let's get right to audience questions here before we get to the big question I want to ask you about the Galactic Federation. Yola Tango is asking, are there any ancient alien races lying dormant deep within our oceans?
Yeah. Well, okay, dormant, not so much. Ancient races living in our oceans, absolutely. You know, I mean, we've got water elementals down there that are something fun to talk to. You'll never actually talk to one straight on because, well, they don't speak English well. But I mean, you've got a number of races underwater that are definitively, they've been around for a while.
Which ones?
Well, the easiest ones are you have the merfolk, what you would know as sirens or mermaids, that sort of thing, are a very real race. You have the sea fairies, what some people call sea elves, which are an elfish race, but they happen to live underwater. They were a fun group when they first started taking people. That if you ever watched the show The Abyss,
yes,
those creatures that they show at the bottom of the ocean are very real. Okay. But and you know that blue that gel that the guy coughs up at the end there? You know, that they plug into his lungs so that he doesn't die?
Yeah.
That is directly from them. They developed it because, well, they found out taking humans down that far was counterproductive to talking to them. Something to do with humans do not breathe water well. And even when they cured the problem of the lack of oxygen, the pressures were killing them. You know, but then there are many of the races that people think are animals. One of the most obvious issues is your dolphins, which are about as sentient as you get. They're actually far more intelligent than people actually even the scientists that know that they're more intelligent don't realize the extent of it.
All right, Mark has a question. He says, I have photos and videos of orbs in pairs at night, reddish center glowing but diamond shape, approximately 10 feet tall and 3 feet wide. What might these be?
You may be looking at a I don't want to call it a subrace, but you may be looking at the larger runs of the Rosic, which are orbs. There are other races that are just out of sync with the vibratory rate of Earth that he may also be looking at. And you know, the nice part about it is many of these races that you're talking about, I gotta thank you, Dave, because ever since I mentioned that book and started doing the videos with it, a lot of these races we are working on putting into the second volume. But those are most likely either variations on the rod, like different races of the rod species, or of the Rosics. Much like when you look at humans, there are many different races of humans, but they're all the same species. Same as with the Greys.
All right, let's move on to another question. Sovereign is asking, are red orbs dangerous?
Not any more so than green ones. I mean, basically, you're looking at something that runs on bioelectricity. Now, if you get run into something with a high bioelectric output, it can short out the human genome. Whether it's red, green, blue, or purple, don't matter. Their color does not dictate whether they're dangerous. It's kind of like the coloring on a power line. Doesn't matter what you wrap it in, and the power line is the problem.
All right, let's go over to Twitter, hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Greco is asking, are there any planets or moons that exist as a single intelligent life form, and is Earth one?
Yes. How's that for a short answer? Just thought I'd mention that. Yeah, Earth itself is one. Planets and planetoids are members, and let me just make sure I get the name right here. This is one of the advantages that I finally actually have is a computer that I can actually get to find things. Oh, that's the nice part about it. But yes, planets themselves, many of them are actually a race anyway. You know, but I believe that is called, if I recall the name correctly, it should be Corlock. But I didn't want to do that. But, there we go. Yeah, sorry, I lied. The Caboran is the actual name. I didn't lie, I just made a mistake. The Caboran is the name of the planetary race, as in organisms the size of planets. And needless to say, you don't get those coming together very often.
All right, let's go to another one from Greco on Twitter, who is asking, do the planets create their own technology or use other species' technology?
They don't require technology, period. So, quite literally, the answer to both of those questions would be no. Other species will use the surface of the Caboran in order to build their own technologies. But technically, it's the other species that are actually utilizing Caboran physiology to create the technology. But what most people don't realize is it doesn't matter which one it is. A Caboran, if it doesn't want to have a species on it anymore, the species will die. You know, it's got a very, if you think about it this way, they can, if they so desire, stop their rotational spin. They can also, and you don't get it happening very often, but once in a while you get one going, I don't want to be in this galaxy anymore, and they take off. Right. Well, as you can well imagine, that plays havoc with civilization.
All right, let's move on here because Corin says a question, and he is asking, do any of us have aliens living within us? Is there a race that uses our bodies as their homes?
Well, can I say definitively? No, like there's no way that you can go down to the doctor and check, as far as I'm aware. But the answer to your question is yes, there is, and I just need to find out. And this is why I wrote the book, so I could actually find what I was looking for. Because there is a race that is literally it's a parasite, and it literally does take. set itself up inside humans. Okay, and the reason for it is because it needs it from the standpoint of actually being able to function.
Have you got it yet?
No, but I'm working on it. And that being said, just carry on. We'll come back to it and I'll pop it in when I can.
Okay, sounds good. Sovereign is asking, let's see here. What does the silver and black ring you wear on your right hand symbolize?
Oh, it's actually green. It's sterling silver and malachite. And what it actually symbolizes is my brother. When my brother passed away in 2010, this is what I got. This is what he left me.
Very nice.
There we go. The Archon.
The Archons. There you go. There you go, Corrance. The Archons. Tell us about the Archons.
The Archons, they are a parasite. Okay, and they literally utilize, and it's not just humans they utilize anybody else as well. Okay, like they will utilize any race that they can get a hold of, as it were. But basically, what they deal with is they move in, they will literally replace the higher cognitive functions of a human, leaving enough memory there that they can blend right in. But before anybody gets a brilliant idea, no, they do not target politicians and royalty. They target people that are essentially on the verge of being dead, where they're going to be a write-off anyway. Okay, but they've got a real interesting outlook. Okay, number one, they go by the philosophy of survival of the fittest. That's why they will target people that are on the verge of going out, of dying. Because by the time those people don't have the will to fight them anymore, for the most part. Okay, but from their standpoint, it really boils down to a case of, we want to survive. They're not here to take over the planet. They use human bodies or corporeal bodies to provide an incubation chamber. Basically, an involuntary surrogate parent. Right. When they get to a certain size, what they do is they will come out of the body. They'll quite often leave the body behind and carry on.
Nicole, what do you think about Keith? What he's saying about insectoid type of invasive Archon species into our bodies?
I am immediately thinking of that creepy alien from Alien bursting out of my chest. That's what I'm thinking of.
That would be the Chick-Chock, and they don't actually do it quite that way, but,
I knew you were going to say something like that, too. But okay, so they kind of use our bodies as an incubator.
Yes.
Until they acclimatize to our world, or until they're ready to come out. That's pretty interesting.
Ultimately, that's what it's for. The funny thing is, if you take a look at the Archon, what they do is they incubate to start with in a intelligent host until they get secure enough that they can get out and survive for a little while. But they look very similar and react very similar to the sea cucumber. They aren't, well, I shouldn't say they aren't, some of them are. But you'll find Archons, they start off as microscopic, and much like humans do. If you take a look at the human cell, right, when you first start with fertilization, you're looking at pretty tiny. Well, the Archon become an interstellar capable race. Like, as they get older, they become interstellar capable.
Do they do their hosts any harm as they come or leave, or would we even know that somebody's body was inhabited?
You wouldn't even know. And mankind does not have the technological capacity to find them.
Where do they like to hang out when using a body?
Pardon?
Do they take over the whole body, or do they reside in like the brain, or do they give me a stomach ache, or?
No, there are no physical symptoms. I mean, depending on what they're up to, they could be anywhere in your body. They will travel intercellular. Okay, they can spend time up in the brain or in the nervous system itself. They may get into the lymph system, but they don't block it and they don't modify it.
So they don't like make you do anything against your will. They're just kind of like hanging out.
They're kind of like hanging out. It's kind of like what they do is they piggyback until they're old enough to go to move on.
Sweet.
All right, let's move on. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it kind of made me think of body snatching, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but that's completely different. So yeah, move along.
Fantastic movie.
All right, let's move on to another question from our audience here. Sovereign is asking, are the Archons also called demiurge?
It wouldn't be a shock. Sad to say, I haven't heard the name before.
All right, let's move
on.
The
real question would be, from what I've said, does that sound like what he knows as the demiurge?
All right, Sovereign's next question, we'll follow it up. Which alien races eat humans?
Well, there's a lot of them, but the primary one that he's referring to is the Tekla. They're 4.5 to 5.5 foot reptilian raptor-like individuals. They're the ones who find humans a wonderful delicacy. And they will quite happily invite you to dinner. I'd recommend you not accept. It's one of those dinner invites that is definitely best left unanswered. Unless you're into that sort of thing, which would be a very short life for whoever is into that sort of thing.
Do they eat people raw, or do they cook us?
Well, they got no use in cooking you. They'll chew your arm off while you're sitting there screaming at them.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. That's nice.
Completely uncivilized.
Well, they look at it going, well, we're not wasting anything. Some of the social structures that off-worlders have definitely create a problem. From human standpoints, some of the off-worlders' behavior is, to say the least, barbaric.
All right, let's get to Greg's question. Who is the most powerful higher entity?
Well, I call him God. Some people call him the prime originator, some the great Drake. There are so many names for him. Him or it, call it what you will. But, as twisted as it probably sounds to some people, the top of the totem pole, as far as humans are concerned, is whatever name you want to call him that falls under the category of God. I simply call him that because it's so much easier than I put a list together. Actually, I actually posted it on Facebook one day, a whole list of different names that people know him by, and I was immediately attacked in private by a number of people telling me I was completely off my nut.
Not you.
Yeah, me.
Well, that's rude.
Well, that was sort of what I thought. Mind you, I got told the same thing when I told people that they should really consider getting along.
Well, let's move on to another question here. And let's go to, let's see here, as we got about 4.5 minutes left. Vinny is asking, is the Star Wars series really a documentary?
Close to it. It wasn't intended as, it wasn't portrayed that way, but it is close to it, yes. What you see in the Star Wars series, many of those races are very real. And the capabilities are very much the case. The ironic part is that what they call the Force, humans are one of the few races that have it down to a fine art where they can access it readily. Most of the rest of the races actually have to work a lot harder at it.
All right, let's move on here. Actually, Nicole, I want to ask you about that. What do you think about the series Star Wars? Do you think it's a documentary style? Or do you think it's just sci-fi?
Maybe I'm more in the middle. Because it seems like these days, no matter if it's Star Wars or any other science fiction film, and I was just talking with Don Schmidt about this, and this love affair with Hollywood and ufology, and how much correct information seeps through. And what I find myself asking these days when I watch something like that is, who on staff is an experiencer? You know, what part of the writing team has experienced this phenomenon? Because it's bleeding through into our movies and our music and what we read. And
absolutely, to
me, it's like working from the inside out, you know. So that's where I go with it. Not necessarily that the entire film or movie or documentary is 100% correct, but I think there's some elements of truth that we're seeing popping up in sci-fi more often than not these days.
Well, I would personally agree with you there, but then again, a lot of the things that people claim are documentaries of terrestrial events, a lot of it is both, it has enough truth in it to give you the information. Yeah, but I mean, I was approached by Hollywood, by somebody in Hollywood, by a company in Hollywood to tell my life story. Only they wanted to be able to modify it, etc. So I told them what they could do with their contract.
Right. And that's what I mean. You hear about that scenario with many people in ufology about being edited, or like in the case of Travis Walton and Fire in the Sky, you know, they just kind of took full creative liberty with his story and expanded it. And I think that's where I'm thinking that it's more on the creative level, like who in the movie or filmmaking process is an experiencer, not necessarily who's telling the story or who it's even about. I think it's coming down to the writers a lot these days, or the director, you know, wherever that story comes from, and who they're collaborating with. I mean, we all know the story of Valet and Hynek working with Spielberg on Close Encounters.
For sure. For sure.
You know, so I mean, I think
I didn't know.
Well, on that note, Nicole, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, and Keith, I'm going to get you to hold on because we are at the break here at the top of the hour. The ET Connection happens once a month, near the beginning of each month here on Spaced Out Radio, where we bring in our resident ET expert, R. Keith Andrews, who's sporting a new haircut and even a clean shave, along with Nicole Sakach, experiencer and research assistant to Grant Cameron, as we talk everything extraterrestrial. If you're in one of our chat rooms, please put your question in capital letters so that way I don't miss them. And we're going to continue as we turn up the woo on our first show on 2021. We're glad to be into the new year. We're glad you're all here, and thank you for listening to Spaced Out Radio. Hour 2 is coming up right after this. All right, you guys chat away. I'm going to quickly run my dogs outside. I'll be right back.
I just got to run and grab a coffee. I'll be right back, Nick.
All right.
Don't go away.
Nicole, it's all you. It's all you.
Hey, Taylor, what the hell happened?
Hi, YouTube. I finally figured out that I was on mute again. I don't have my chat open, so I can't read along with any comments. I'm having Wi-Fi issues tonight, but I'm liking this conversation. So it's a new year, same old R. Keith, same old Dave Scott, kicking up the woo a notch. A great way to start the year. I like that last question too.
I'm back, Nick.
Yay, Keith's back. I don't have my chat open, so it's hard for me to see the YouTube.
Yeah, to see the YouTube. Yeah. Well, that's okay. I don't show up on YouTube. Only Dave does. And he's not moving on.
I'm going to let my dog out now. You get to talk. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, people, Happy New Year to everybody. You know, quite the way to start the year off. But yeah, I mean, thank you so much for the great questions that are coming in. The reality is, a lot of the races that are coming in, that are being asked about, the thing that's taking me time is because I've got so much of the information. I'm actually compiling a volume 2 of the first book. But Dave has been a phenomenal outlet. You know, and I really do say hats off to Dave for he and his team. They have done a staggering job on making things happen. You know, the hardest part in all of what's going on, as much as everything is taking place on this planet and off-world, we have to take a look at what's going on the planet to sort of keep our feet grounded. But many of the things people are overlooking, and you know, I'm just going to remind people of 2 major factors. One is absolutely, if you've got questions, put them in all caps so that Dave can actually find them. Because there is no way I can track the chat room the way it's moving like it does. You know, and if, you know, my name, R. Keith Andrews, you can actually find my YouTube channel, at which point there's a lot more information than I go into there. And Dave is, I think, back.
Hey, I'm back.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Almost like trying to put those on upside down.
I'm good. I am very good.
I must say, Dave.
Yeah, buddy.
You know, thank you very much.
Oh, for
when
what?
When I talked to you about opening, about letting people know about your show on the radio, like on YouTube, it has resulted in a rather rapid growth in the speed that one book is moving.
Good. Keith, anything we can do to help? Like I've always said, you're a very good friend of mine, and I love you, and you know, if I got a lot of respect and admiration for you, and I know you more on a personal level than a lot of other people out there, and you're one of the best human beings I've ever met, man. Honestly, and everybody out there who gets an opportunity to talk with you and get to know you on a personal level will be better for it. I could tell you that, man. I could tell you that.
Well, I do appreciate that, and I mean, you know, the counterpoint to that is I've been offered a couple of times to swap over and go to different stations. I'm like, I'm working around Dave's. Yeah, I'm working around Spaced Out Radio. This is, so to speak, home.
Oh.
You know, I'll go out to other radio stations when I'm approached, but it works around the schedule here.
Yeah, I mean, I love it that you do this. I know our audience loves it, and you know, as I put in my Mighty Moose beard oil here at mightymoosebeard.com, it makes the beard feel very nice. Everything's in Canadian dollars, and And, we're going to be continuing our relationship with Gary the Dutchman and everything. And go to MightyMooseBeard.com. Use promo code SOR2019 for your discount. Oh, yeah. And, of course, Kat, you can rub the beard. You can rub the beard. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Thurston Howell III. How are you? Sir Brian Bowden. Let's do a new podcast for number 1486. A. Ron Davis, welcome to Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you here. And here we go, everyone. Oh, we're still 20 seconds away. I screwed up.
Okay.
Hey, Zach, how are you, man? Welcome. Thank you to Fabster, Greco, and Kristen for the awesome super chats. Remember, you can get your SOR swag by going to facebook.com/the SOR Vault. We got some great t-shirts in there, and make sure you pick them on up. We're on in 5 seconds here, guys. Out Radio is underway. Thank you so much for joining us. Here's to your 2021, our first show of the brand new year, and what a way to do it by turning up the woo with our Keith Andrews. We say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Where are you, Clam? Oh, there you are. Babbledom. Babbledom is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with our Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. Keith has a great book out on alien races, which we highly suggest you look on up. And, his YouTube channel, I believe, is our Keith Andrews or Inner Voice Enterprises, Keith?
Either one, but our Keith Andrews is the one that I primarily man. I really don't know if Inner Voice Enterprises is still there, but you will find it using that because I put both names on my videos anyway, on the search bar, on the, what are they called? Tags or whatever. I don't even know what they're called.
Right. All right. Well, you know what? We suggest people get it because Keith is a lifelong ET contactee. And, as we do with every our Keith Andrews show, we have experiencer and research assistant to Grant Cameron, Nicole Sakach here. How you doing, Nicole?
I'm doing good. My Wi-Fi holding in.
It is.
Right. Okay, good.
All right. So I'm wearing a bandana tonight, and Zenzabil's like, dude, you got to switch it up. Got to put the Marvin the Martian hat on. Okay, I will do that here momentarily. But nonetheless, Keith, I want to ask you before we get into any more audience questions, because about 3.5 weeks ago, a gentleman named Jaime Shed came out and stated that aliens don't want to come here because they don't feel we're ready for this. And he made some other interesting claims about a galactic federation. Now, this is a man who is the former head of security for the Israeli Space Force. He is in space agency. I mean, he's 87 years old. So some people will say, well, at that age, your memory starts to go a little bit. And a lot of woo seems to happen inside, that age group where fantasy becomes reality. You have talked about the Galactic Federation and the Consortium here on this show numerous times over the last 5.5 years. When you read up on Jaime Shed's comments, what did you think?
I just about fell off my chair. I mean, the reality is I spent my life basically questioning my own sanity because my parents left me wondering about that anyway. But I go through this all the time. I do not do any research. I don't read up on anything. Everything I've got is firsthand. So when you brought me that issue of Chaim, right, I'm looking at this going, there's corroboration you could not pay for. You know, I had no idea who the man was because, well, frankly, I just don't research. So, I mean, with him corroborating what I've been saying all along is, oddly enough, it's actually a real relief from my standpoint.
All right, so what should we know about the Galactic Federation?
Well, number one, it has some very definitive guidelines. That being, they are absolutely forbidden. Like, members of the Consortium are absolutely forbidden to take over planets. Any planet that has a sentient life on it, the what is it now? The dominant surface-dwelling, technologically advanced race on a planet's surface are the planet's protectors. Therefore, you do not move in and take a planet out. Like, you do not conquer it. In the case of the Sol system, because of its location and because of the data that is stored on here, the off-worlders are absolutely forbidden to take it over. Okay, if a race does try and take over a planet that they're not supposed to, they will be forcibly expelled from the Consortium. And the way they expel a race from the Consortium is the Consortium will detonate the planet that houses their primary government, their secondary, and usually their tertiary governments. Which, by the way, plays an absolute havoc with the system. Okay. In the Consortium, only one member of any given race. There's only 12 members in the main council, but only one member of any given race will be on that council. Okay, that is to avoid the race from having a dominant control point. Okay, and their whole purpose is to make sure that in common area there is a set of laws to follow. Those laws are the karmic laws. Be true to yourself, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. You must, in the common areas, follow those laws. On member planets, the member planets can lay out their own laws, and you must honor their laws. And so the little, what they call petty laws, as in societal laws, they tell you if you're going to go to that planet, follow the laws of the land upon which you stand. Okay. Now, as you can tell with humans, they have a problem with that. They don't even do that on their own planet, which is one of the concerns that the Consortium is working on, trying to get people realizing that when they talk about world unity, they are not talking about single dictatorship. Very different issue. Now, there are planets that do have a single dictatorship. But the Consortium itself, there's three types of ships that you'll see. You've got the what are they called? The triangle ships, which are their standard scanning ships. That's the normal scout ships that they send down for collecting people and what have you. There are some big ships with spires on them that are their research ships. And if you've ever, some people will see, or they sort of see what look like floating cities, just out of sync. Those floating cities are generation ships of the Consortium. That's where the general population lives. Okay, and they travel all over the place, but they tend to vibrate just high enough that you actually don't see them as well as you might. They almost seem translucent when you do see them.
Nicole, do you have any questions about the Galactic Federation for Keith?
None at this moment, no. I'm still trying to wrap it around it myself.
It's heavy, man. It's heavy. All right. Robert is asking, why do abductions happen if there is a federation that protects us?
Because in order to, number one, amongst the Greys, the hybridization program doesn't harm humans other than the psychological damage of being abducted. Right, and they do what they can to mitigate that. But the reason abductions happen is for the socioeconomic subquantum magnetic flux research they do. They look at what they're looking at is the evolution of mankind and the ramifications that is going to have when mankind gets off Earth en masse. And the fact mankind is already getting off Earth, and with humans' mentality, it's going to create some ramifications that mankind is not ready to deal with. But Chaim was absolutely correct. It's not that the off-worlders are worried about human potential, but mankind has their society built on a certain set of parameters. And if all of a sudden they all show up down here, that entire superstructure that holds Earth's society together will come apart at the seams.
All right, Mary is asking, do the Galactic Federation guide us humans to achieve their spiritual growth?
Technically, but it's not their spiritual growth. They point out, and they will pick certain people based on their access points, i.e., some politicians that have been taken are because they're well situated to enact global change, i.e., by the way, you're polluting the planet, you might want to knock it off. Right. So they grab a politician that they figure is a good setup. They'll bring him up, they'll do their best to educate them and then put him back. Right. It's the same as, like, I got asked at one point why it is that people get matched up on ship. And the reason for that is they're trying to set up a good host for hybridization. But it's a gamble that humans will ever find each other once they get put back. I mean, heck, it's a gamble that humans will find each other in the first place.
All right, let's move on. Oh, go ahead, Nicole.
I was going to ask, do the Greys hold abductions on any other worlds or with any other species, I should say, maybe?
Every other species, way to look at it.
I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
I said just about with every other species. The only
they do.
that they don't tend to go after are things like they won't bother abducting an elemental. Primarily, is trying to hybridize a human with a fire elemental results in one outcome, and it's never hybridization. I mean, picture what happens if you grab a human and toss him into a fire pit. Just doesn't work well on the reproduction side.
All right, Keith, let's move on because we got a lot of questions here from our audience in our chat rooms tonight. And let's start off with Sovereign. Is it true that drinking coffee will keep you immune from being abducted? What other anti-abduction strategies can we use to shield ourselves?
Well, let's put it this way. Considering I go through between 30 and 60 cups of coffee a day, I have to say no, it doesn't have a whole lot of impact. And by the way, tinfoil hats don't work worth a hoot. They do create an interesting conversation when you get up on ship after you've been taken with it while you're wearing one, though. The idea of an anti-abduction is kind of akin to the idea of I hear a lot of people that go, oh, we can stop. Now, don't get me wrong. Stopping an astral abduction can be done. But that boils down to people that know how to astral travel interceding. It's kind of like if you're getting a physical abduction and you've got people around that know how to fight, they can stop a physical abduction. But very few humans can deal with something that's 8 feet tall and trying to kidnap a person. So the number of people that go, oh, I've got this technique, I've got this item for sale that'll stop abductions, I would personally be very cautious about buying it.
All right, let's go to another one. New York Anthony is asking, what do you think about people like Michael Mencken and his special protection hats from Aliens? I actually interviewed Michael Mencken about 4 years ago. That was quite an interesting story. What he's done is he's built like a leather / tinfoil, like old school football helmet or hockey helmet, and says that if you wear one of these around 24/7, the aliens can't get into your mind.
Yeah, that's a cute thought. I wonder if he ever studied telepathy on a basic level. Clothing does not stop telepathic impact, nor does it stop molecular relocation. Because in molecular relocation, they take the entire outfit. In other words, if you're wearing a hat, if you're wearing a robe, if you're wearing a bikini, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. They take the whole 9 yards.
All right, question from about an hour ago. I apologize, I forget who asked it, but is Dogman an alien?
I keep asking that myself. I haven't looked enough into Dogman itself to actually give you an honest answer. Well, that is an honest answer. So I really don't have an answer. I got to look a little more into what Dogman is.
Bigfoot's biggest arch enemy in the forest.
That sounds like a Marvel comic.
Yes, I know. DJ is asking, what do you think about the connection between aliens and the missing 411 people?
Well, they're not missing. Somebody knows where they are. Quite honestly, that is more likely a question hitting a wormhole than it is hitting an alien abduction. They don't usually take the vehicles with them. Usually when an abduction takes place, they'll take all the people and leave the vehicle behind, which is why you end up finding cruise ships with nobody on them.
All right, let's get to John's question. Keith, why do they tell you all of this stuff and most other abductees nothing, even when asked? And do you believe the theory that this is an invasion through hybridization?
Not a snowball's prayer on the invasion thing. If they wanted to invade, the war would be over before mankind ever knew anything about it starting. Okay, I could go into that, and I think I'll do that on one of my videos. I think I'll go into exactly how an invasion. I was talking to their military people to find out how they would play it out. But in answer to as far as the invasion goes, no, absolutely not. As for why they talk to me, the best I can tell you is because I literally do not see a difference between an alien and a human as far as the way I treat them goes. I just don't see a difference in them. And that may be the issue. I don't know. I really, there's a part of me that goes, would you mind leaving me alone? Because it has made functioning on this planet almost impossible. Trying to deal with people on this planet, I just get very, very lost at some of the customs that people have, like beating the heck out of each other and then saying we really care. All
right, let's move on to another question here. And Human Carl is asking, not to be mixed up with Alien Carl. And you were there that night.
Oh Lord, yeah, that was a phenomenal day.
Yes, couple times. Are remnants of the German army and/or aliens still living under the ice in Antarctica?
Yes. Well, sort of. Remnants of the German army wouldn't be a shock. As far as aliens, what's under the ice in Antarctica, most of that is ancient races. And you really don't want to pick a fight with them. If you think the off-worlders are bad news, picking a fight with the ancient races is going to make picking a fight with the aliens look like a good idea.
Okay. Let's see here. Moving on. Sovereign is asking, how many reptilian-run cloning centers are there in Canada?
I have no idea. But I do know, well, I shouldn't say that. As far as I understand it, there's not a one of them that are trying to clone anything. Okay, there are a lot that are trying to work, that are working with them, and as far as numbers go, I have no idea. Can I give you locations as to where they are? No. And that's probably a good thing.
Nicole, what do you think about reptilians cloning around the world?
I do not know enough about reptilians to know whether or not they're involved with cloning. I can't think of any specific stories, like with the Greys, you've heard about people seeing their own hybrid children and things like that, but I can't recall any reptilian hybridization stories. So,
It's kind of interesting to think, though, that it may be out there, Nicole. May be happening. All right, Keith, let's move on as we've got about 2.5 minutes to go before we go to break at the bottom of the hour. And let's go to Corey's question. Speaking of Dogman, do any aliens have halo armor? And if so, can I get some?
I'm not the one to ask if you can get halo armor. However, the answer to your question is yes. They do have armor that makes halo armor look like a kindergartner's Halloween costume.
All right. Let's go on here. Let's see here as we continue on. We can find one more question from our audience. And all right, Greco, Opa to Greco. Why not actually help us rather than complaining from space?
Well, first of all, they don't complain from space. Second of all, why not help you? Well, in a nutshell, you wouldn't like the way they help. Their method of solving your guys' pollution problem is very simple. Wipe out 3/4 of the population of the planet and they'll stop polluting it. It's like the standard rule of thumb from the off-worlders is if you guys are going to have a war, would you mind making it real? Like, instead of this tossing things back and forth, would you mind actually making it a war worth looking at? It's kind of like, like people that like going and watching MMA fighting, going and watching a kindergarten boxing match in the sandbox and thinking that's exciting. But the off-worlders are not, their dictate is mankind built the mess. Mankind, unless it is going to destroy the planet, at which point the off-worlders will step in because the Caboran at that point need help. But if it's just going to upset or just going to kill off the infestation of humans or other denizens, so be it. If they kill themselves, well, guess they weren't going to survive. They weren't one of the fittest.
One way to put it?
Yeah.
Keith, I'm going to get you and the lovely and talented Nicole Sakach to wait right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. And it is the ET Connection. We do this at the beginning of each month where we bring in our resident ET expert, Keith Andrews, to come in and talk some aliens with us and you, the audience. A little bit different than what we normally do on the show, but that's the way we like it here on Spaced Out Radio. And we are joined by special guest Nicole Sakach, research assistant to Grant Cameron, and experiencer herself. More from these fine people here on Spaced Out Radio.
For those of you, I've been watching the questions come up through the chat room I'm actually watching the YouTube chat room, and I've noticed a couple of people asking about an event, I presume, talking about Las Vegas of 2021. And the answer there is, I have not heard about it as far as the event goes, but if I get an invite, would I be willing to go down? The answer is yeah, given that I can get across the border, and that depends on the whole situation with COVID. You know, any of the conferences out there, I'm quite willing to go and speak at, right? Or, you know, go down to sort of thing. It just boils down to requiring an invite. And thus far, that hasn't been forthcoming. So if you want to see me down there, talk to the people that actually book guests. And I'd love to come down and meet some of you down there. I gotta say, whoever asked the question about the coffee, that was phenomenal. Have you ever heard of something like that, Nicole?
No, and actually I was drinking my coffee at the same time the question was being asked, and I was like, nope, that's not a deterrent. It can't be. I drink way too much coffee.
Yeah, that's my problem. I'm thinking, you know, when COVID hit, I was told, you know, stay home, stay away from people, and drink coffee. I'm thinking, I've got a 30-cup urn at home that I'll go through 1 or 2 a day. So I'm thinking that can help.
It did make me wonder, though, with working with Grant and, of course, exploring all the various types of contact modalities. It's some of them I know are drug related, and it's made me wonder about the effects of caffeine or over caffeinating yourself, if that's some sort of experience or symptom stimulant, maybe.
I have no way of telling you that. If it were, quite frankly, in my opinion, if that were a symptom, then it wouldn't just be a few people being abducted. It would be 3/4 of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, I mean, like in the sense, people that use mushrooms or other psychedelics as a way to tap into the field. I wonder if caffeine or other things that we ingest normally, you know, could have a factor like that at play that we just don't even realize. The only thing that makes me pull back from that is it seems like so many modalities seem to center around meditation or some form of focusing your own inner calm, and caffeine is a stimulant. So I don't know if that would really go hand in hand, but I'm the type of coffee drinker. It doesn't matter if I have 1 cup or 2 pots of coffee. Like, it doesn't seem to ever make me jittery, you know? It's kind of like just maintaining the normal.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem to have a whole lot of bearing. I know it hasn't done much for slowing things down for me. You know? I think if I drink much more, I'm going to end up drowning in the stuff.
You got a lot of snow there, Keith?
Well, in one spot. But no, we really don't have that much snow this year. We've had 2 days when we had a dusting on the roads, and then it goes away the following day, so I'm happy. You know? Personally, I figure if the snow comes on Christmas Eve and goes away somewhere between Christmas Day night and Boxing Day morning, I'm happy.
Yeah,
You know,
but you guys usually get a lot more snow in Kelowna.
not anymore.
Too much traffic and the population heating up the area?
Nope.
Interesting.
It's that funny thing called you know, nature.
Yes.
You know?
I hear you. We got about 1 minute, guys. 1 minute. Want to say a thank you to Itzy, Zaza, Fabster, Greco, and Kristen for the amazing super chats tonight. Really do appreciate the support of this show. And all of you, please remember to put your questions in capital letters. I am trying to get to them all. Some of them I know I've missed. I apologize. But the chat room's moving very, very quickly tonight. Very quickly. So I am trying to get to them all. But we're having a good time here with R. Keith Andrews and Nicole Sakach. And, yes. Yeah, we're having a good time here. We got about 15 seconds before we're going to go live once again.
How many more till 10,000, Dave?
I believe we're 31 shy of 10,000 going into tonight for subscribers on YouTube. 5 seconds, everyone. Past the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. I want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with the ET Connection. Our Keith Andrews is here tonight. He's a lifelong experiencer, helps people with their own experiences now. He's also an author and research assistant to Grant Cameron, and experiencer Nicole Sakach is always our special guest here. Nicole and Ronald, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
I got one question right off the bat from Marty here, who is asking, where can I find your book, Keith?
Well, if you email me at innervoiceenterprises@yahoo.ca, okay, you can order it straight from me, and we actually have just recently started taking PayPal. Of course, if you look me up on YouTube at R. Keith Andrews, at the bottom there's a whole list of ways to get a hold of me.
All right, let's get back to some audience questions here. Crystal Chick is asking, what race has long cylinder-shaped ships with fire out of the back?
Damaged Throzozian? The cylinder-shaped ships, there's two types that are common, which are your Pleiadian ships that have no windows at all, and the Throzozian ships, which have two banks of windows. Okay, if you're seeing fire coming out the back, it's probably the thrusters that they're using. You know, there's probably nothing wrong with it so much as just you caught it on the right, on the right angle or the right day.
I've never seen fire come out of the back of a ship.
Well, that's why I said right off the bat a damaged Throzozian one.
How do they deal? That leads to an interesting question. If something does go wrong with their ships, how do they deal with them? Like, do they have mechanics on board?
They have entire fire systems, fire combatant systems. Right. I mean, the neat part about it is because of the way the OTE drive is built, that a lot of the different people use, that a lot of different races have adopted. The OTE drive has a fire suppression system built right into it. And they literally funnel, I was going to say funnel air, but no, they funnel the coolant from outside of their ships, from space, to kill off a flame.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to Aaron, who is asking, Keith, what do you think about DMT and its connection to the universe? In other words, drugs, hallucinogenics.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, somebody want to bring me up to speed on the DMT thing. Number one, it's a bad idea. Okay. Whenever you take a mind-altering drug, it does change the chemicalogical configuration of the brain, making it easier to accept that which is a little off kilter. Okay, but it is much more effective to learn how to generate that same feeling without the inconvenience of drugs, because the damage that the drugs do beyond opening that door is just mind-boggling in the extreme. Yeah, so would I recommend that path? Not at all. I've actually shown a few people locally that were looking to feel something or experience something along that line. I've shown them how to generate that kind of an energy pattern through mind over body, as compared to using external drugs.
All right, let's move on here. Let's go to Bim Jim, who's asking, how many nearby parallel universes are there?
I love the question, and there is no way I can give you a quantifiable number that's going to make sense. Let's chalk it up to a number way beyond human ken. Take a googolplex to the power of a googolplex.
I don't know how. I don't know how.
A googolplex is a 1 followed by 100 zeros. Take that number and take it to the power of a 1 followed by 100 zeros, and you might get somewhere close to it. And do not even do that calculation.
I'm not even going to try. Not even going to try. Nicole might. She's the math whiz around here. But
oh yeah. Let me break out my quantum calculator.
Yes. Where's Science Bob when you need him? All right. Football Cat is asking, can we return from portals?
Well, yeah, portals go both ways. They're quite a convenient way to travel. That's how a lot of the ships cover that kind of distance. Is they use the portals. This is what you'll find even with some of the crop circles you see. They are basically, markers that say if you make this jump, if you go to this location, you can make this jump to this other location. So yeah, portals you can get to and from on.
All right.
Hey, Keith, have you ever heard of animals being able to open up portals? Like, yep. I've come across recently 2 cases of cat portals.
Well, that would make sense. Cats are one of the most psychically active animals on this planet. Second, basically only to humans.
And what makes cats so special in that regard? Like, how are they so psychic?
Now, how do I go into an explanation on a subquantum magnetic flux theory? I really don't have the background to explain to you in medical terms how that's actually possible.
Well, I was maybe meaning like why cats as opposed to dogs.
Well, because
maybe dog portal stories are out there. I just haven't heard of them yet.
Well, yeah, the issue with cats is cats have a different way of looking at the universe. This is why cats were never domesticated. They simply tolerate people.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever owned a cat, they are not trained. Not on the whole.
What would the purpose be for a cat opening up a portal?
It wants to go somewhere else. Or it wants company.
Okay.
Or it just hates you and wants to bring in some evil alien species, come disrupt your life. Because it is a cat. Remember, it only cares about itself.
No, but that's what people think. I get along quite well with cats, personally.
All right, let's move on here. DJ is asking, what does it mean if you've seen all 3 types of ships all their life? I think there's more than 3 types of ships.
I think he's referring to the cylindricals.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just surmising that, but all that means is you've been paying attention.
Well, look at that. Look at that. As Keith puts his coffee cup down so we can all hear it.
Well,
Hey, it's tradition now. It's totally tradition. All right, let's move on here as we continue on with the ET connection. Love this question from Sovereign, who is asking, are all lenticular clouds actually ships?
No. No, there are such things as naturally evolving lenticular clouds. You know, the funny thing is that they are the easiest ones for some. Well, it's not so much the easiest ones to hide in, so much as they're the easiest ones to generate with the ionization of the hull. But no, most of the time a cloud is a cloud, and that's all the thing is.
Christopher is asking, Keith, if these living metal ships, do they have the ability to self-heal and repair?
Yes. Yeah, I know. I can drag that out, but I mean, that's what it boils down to.
Well, I mean, considering we're here for explanation, it might pan out if you give an explanation. The
reality is that the living metal ships are literally living metal ships. They're living metal. And see if I can find it. But I'm actually in the middle of documenting that. I've been talking to a couple of them recently. Because, well, the reality is I find these people fascinating. You know, that's the neat part about it. But yeah, there are many that are like those ships literally, in a fight, they will literally heal, which can draw a fight out a long way.
Right. Okay.
So would their ship heal much like our skin heals?
Ultimately,
you know, kind of repair itself from the inside out type of thing. Yeah.
No, actually, in all fairness, they're what happens is their hull will heal on the outside first, kind of like a human wound develops a scab.
Gotcha.
But ultimately, the idea is the same.
Antonio is asking, Keith, who is on our moon and why, if that's the case?
Well, there's a big question. There's a staggering number up there. It's a way station. And the why is because it's easier to research from the moon than it is to research from Mars. So they're completely set up on the far side of the moon. That was the thing that, man, that's, you know, when people call it the dark side of the moon, I'm going, it's awful bright over there for being dark.
All right, next question.
There we go. The game's on.
This one comes from Sean. What shape of antenna should we use to talk to the Consortium ships? What frequency do they transmit on?
I have no way of giving you an answer on that one. Primarily because when I'm communicating with them, I don't use technology because it doesn't work for me. But I mean, think of it this, the best way to put this is this. They pick up on brainwaves. They don't bother too terribly much with the idea of radio waves. Radio waves are way too slow. And besides that, when you're trying to connect directly with them, it's kind of like trying to use an abacus to connect to an IBM mainframe. You know, there's a bit of an incompatibility problem because they use holographic interfaces.
Robert, do you want to continue on that?
Well, I was just going to mention, I saw somebody mention here, and, you know, about, it sounds more like a story that I end up working with. Well, the reality is I don't do any research. So, undoubtedly, things sound I've always told people my life is more science fiction than reality.
Let's go over to Dawn Marie, who is asking, have you seen or heard of ships that are shaped like upside-down light bulbs?
Oddly enough, yes.
What are they? Who are they from?
Give me 10 seconds. I'm glad I thought to open this one up. Volume 2 is answering a lot of these. You know, there we go. They belong to, well, shut that off. Oh yeah, that figures. There we go, the Tolek. The Tolek they literally look, the reason those things look like light bulbs is because the Tolek are shaped that way. The Tolek are not very big, though. You know, I mean, the Tolek are literally only something in the neighborhood. Most of them are only in the neighborhood of 2 feet tall, including their tops. But I mean, the Tolek basically look like a green onion. You know, but the reason they're built the way they are is because they land with the neck, if you will, down.
Do their ships do a light display at all?
Most of the time, they tend to leave them dark. You'll see it more. You'll see them more often if you watch the stars and you watch the stars blink out and then blink back in sequence. That's usually because one of their ships is going by. Right, so it temporarily blocks the star behind it.
All right, let's continue on as the R. Keith Andrews ET Connection continues with special guest Nicole Sakach as well. Bib Jim is asking, what do you see when you go through a portal?
Oh, no, that's a light show and a half. Depending on which one you're going through. But basically, picture driving down a highway really, really fast, like a lighted highway. If you've ever been on a highway late at night where they've got the street lights, go down that street really fast. And that's sort of what you're looking at, except for those lights are all the way around you in a tube. I mean, it's really mesmerizing. You know, picture, if you will, take a bobsled run, cover it, you know, give it a cover, and run lights down the inside of it. And that's about what you're looking at.
All right, moving on. And Kat here is asking, forgive me if this has already been answered, is there a correlation between paranormal activity and aliens?
Well, yeah. And this is going to sound really silly, but every alien encounter is a paranormal encounter. But every paranormal encounter is not an alien encounter. I mean, paranormal basically boils down to anything abnormal. And let's face it, unless you're in my world, alien encounters are pretty abnormal. You know.
All right. TFV is asking, what are the round-sided metallic orbs I see occasionally?
Now, that is an excellent question. I like that one. Number one, I'm not sure which ones you're looking at, but I do know, and that's what I'm just saying, what you're looking at, because there are ships that are built that way. Oh, where the heck is it? There we go. The Vorosik. They are likely the Vorosik that you're looking at.
Veruzik.
Yeah.
And who are the Veruzik?
The Vorosik are literally, they're small little people. Okay, they basically are 1 inch to 3 inches in diameter on the whole. Their diet is photon. As in, they literally consume light in order to live. Okay, reproduction is simple. They do it via mitosis. They simply separate. But they are, from their standpoint, they don't bother with ships. You know, because from their standpoint, well, they don't need them. Because they travel via photonic discharge, which is also why they consume photons in the first place. They are one of the races that you'll never find a hybrid of. They vibrate at way too different a vibrational rate to connect with humans. There are a few other photonic or gravitonic races that are non-corporeal. The thing is, all races are not humanoid. As a matter of fact, the number of humanoid races if you're looking at percentage-wise, is very small.
Awesome.
Yeah, compared to other races.
All right. Nikki is asking, as we only got about 3.5 minutes here, Keith, before we go to break at the top of the hour. Nikki is asking, are the tall whites always a form of the gray ETs? Recently, I saw a 9-foot tall skinny ET. It was bright white, almost ghostly powder white, had long arms, legs, and fingers, 4 fingers.
There is no. As in, they are not an extension of the Greys. No, that's just, they're just not. So they are a race unto themselves. You know, it's just a question of, see, they are, trying to remember exactly, and of course my technological capacity is a pain in the neck. But you're looking at a race that is, they are very non-confrontational. Like, I mean, the tall whites just don't, on the whole, bother. They don't bother abducting people. They leave that to other people, and they just pull the research.
Okay.
No, as a chair.
All right, let's move on here. As time is winding down, we want to get some questions in here for Keith for the top of the hour. Lori is asking, wouldn't a portal be more like stepping on and into another parallel universe, a.k.a. timeline?
No. A portal is a jump. If you ever watched the movie A Wrinkle, or read the book, A Wrinkle in Time, a portal literally folds space from one location to another. If you ever played the game Snakes and Ladders, that's another way of looking at it. It does not take you to another reality. It can take you, depending on where. Like, there's all kinds of portals on Earth. Heck, I used to use them when I was running from Kelowna to Vancouver. I used to access them up on the mountain. It was great for gas mileage. I'd cut 100 kilometers off my trip with witnesses and an odometer to corroborate what I was telling people. Yeah, it was fine.
All right, let's sneak one more in here, and this one comes from Greco. Are time shifts an alien event or a natural occurrence?
Well, if he's referring to time travel, usually what a time shift is somebody, if you will, they lose track of time and time travels on without them really recognizing it. Time travel itself, you cannot go backwards. And there aren't even any aliens that can go backwards in time. Okay, you can jump forward, which can play havoc with with the way your brain works. Okay, but are they an alien invention? No. Oh, there we go. The tall whites that everybody keeps talking about, Dave?
Yes.
Those are the Aldebaranians. Needless to say, that means they come from Aldebaran.
Well, there you go. Can we sneak in one more question here? We've got about 30 seconds. This is from Robert. Are doppelgangers actually aliens replicating us?
No, they're aliens eating you. But, you know, they basically are, what they are is hunters. They are not trying to invade anybody. They're looking for a snack and access to more. Because doppelgangers themselves are carnivores. And it's not so much that they really care whether it's human or not. It's just that humans are easier to walk around and not get noticed on this planet.
Right. Keith, I'm going to get you to hold on there. We're through 2 hours. We have our Keith Andrews, the ET Connection, with special guest Nicole Sakach. We continue on with these two awesome people here on Spaced Out Radio. Kick off hour number 3 next.
Heck of a clip.
All right, you guys chat away. I'm just going to run my dogs out.
It's going fast.
I tell you, Nicole, I really got to say thank you for stepping up and backing me up ever since COVID hit. You know, ever since COVID hit, and I had my shift got changed because of it.
It's been great fun. I get excited every time Dave asks me. I'm like, yeah, just tell me when. You don't even have to ask me.
Well, it's nice having a backup because, well, I can't do anything. I mean, I hate dead air on the air. You know, it's just wrong. And the reality is, I have to do my job. You know.
Right. No, I get it. And that's why I'm glad that Spaced Out Radio is on at 11 p.m. for me is when it starts. So it's late in my night. I don't have anything else that conflicts with it. It's a great way to spend my night before I pass out and fall asleep.
Yeah.
But I thought of a question since we're just entertaining the YouTube crowd. Maybe I get what our listener was asking about the portals, and I've heard of people traveling through what they call portals, but when they get to the other side, they may not be in a human form anymore. They might have taken on a different shape, but they still realize that it's their consciousness, I guess. And if they're not experiencing a portal with that, what is that? What is that experience? Is that interdimensional travel as opposed to portal travel?
In all likelihood, it's more likely astral travel. See, everything that exists in this world, that exists in our awareness field, if you will, is third dimensional. Some of it vibrates, a lot of it vibrates at different levels, at different speeds, making it harder to see. But it's all three-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I get a kick out of it, you know, and I made the mistake of addressing this one day. Somebody asked a question, I just reacted to it instead of addressing it. The reality is, like, I've seen a number of comments in the YouTube chat here about the information I've got. And the one thing I will say, do I freestyle it? Absolutely. But then, to most people, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Nicole, but from the people you've talked to, most of them look at alien abduction or different races as a very odd possibility. You know, so they seem to have trouble wrapping their brain around it, so they look for a way to try and explain it. In my case, this is just what reality has always been, so I don't bother.
Right. And I would say that most lifelong experiencers that I've talked to, like yourself, are more like you. It's their own reality. They don't think of it as paranormal anymore. But what I will say that I've noticed over the last maybe 5 years, and I attribute it to things like HICE, human initiated contact experience, or even CE5. You know, I think that's brought about a whole new experiencer, you know, initiating contact that way has opened up a lot of minds. I think you get a more positive experience, or at least the ones I've spoken with.
Well, that came out well.
You know, they tend to look at their experiences more positively than an abduction scenario, you know.
Yeah, no doubt there, and I do agree with you there. You know, the reality of it is that from my standpoint, I've looked at the whole situation, and because you know, it's things like with this Chaim Mashed that come out and starts corroborating what I'm telling people. I used to question all the time, and like I told people, when he came out and showed me this issue on Chaim, I'm like, well, there's corroboration from somebody that's got credentials, that's got Karen recognized credentials, saying the same thing I've been saying all along. So do I feel a little bit more comfortable about what I've been talking about? Certainly. Because it's like I've told people, I just don't have the research background. I don't have a way of turning around and looking things up. And I don't have the patience to sift through it all. You know.
Right. Well, no one person can. I think that's why we all have to collaborate to do what we do. It's just overwhelming at times if you try to tackle it solo.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
All right, guys, we got about 45 seconds. 45 seconds. Thank you, Greg Moyes, Human Carl, Bigfoot Rob, Fapster, John Sadler, Itzy Zaza, Greco, and Kristen for the awesome and amazing super chats tonight. Thank you to everybody that's given us a thumbs up. Thank you to everyone who has hit that subscribe button. To start the show, we needed 31 people for 10,000 subscribers here. We're getting closer. We're getting closer to the goal. I'm kind of excited about it because that's a pretty good milestone. Pretty good milestone, I think. So thank you for all of you hitting that subscribe button. And a good way to support this show, do a little shopping at our SOR Vault. Grab yourself some swag by going to facebook.com/the SOR Vault. That's where our store is, and you can check it out there. Here we go. Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for tuning us in on our first show of 2021. We really do appreciate it. We wish all of our listeners the happiest of the new year and good things to come here in the next 12 months. We say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and of course KPNL. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Babbledom. Babbledom is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, once again, spacedoutradio.com. For the final time tonight, we bring in our Keith Andrews and the ET Connection, where Keith answers your question about everything extraterrestrial. And we're our special guest tonight, the lovely and talented Nicole Sakach, research assistant with Grant Cameron, and an experiencer herself, Nicole. And Keith, welcome back to the show.
That worked out well.
Yeah, no kidding. Oops. All right.
Gone by fast, guys.
All right, let's go over to the Spreaker chat where Dominique has a question. Do reptilians all look at us as Happy Meals and DNA source for hybridization? Do they ever get attached to their subjects?
Well, the answer is no. They don't all see it that way. In all fairness, Techlek are the only ones that actually look at humans that I'm aware of that look at humans as she puts it, as a Happy Meal. Okay. And as for the hybridization thing, that falls under the Greys category, under the Greys regime. They're the ones that built the hybridization program. As for do some reptilians get attached to their, as she said, subjects, some of them develop absolutely really close friends. Like, I mean, you take a look at Kulak, who happens to be a friend of mine. He's about 8 feet tall. He's a Strazazian. Right. So, I mean, are we attached? Not exactly, but we are friends. I mean, when I talk about having friends in high places, I mean really high places. You know?
All right. Second question, follow-up from Dominique. What's the likelihood of a planetary switch between Earth and Mercury?
Slim to non-existent, and if it does, all life on Earth will end.
I love Corey's question. Oh, Corey. Are there any aliens who use human testicles as nuggets in their Happy Meals? I know. I just asked the questions, man. I just asked the questions.
And I'm guessing I can look at it this way. I once tried, because somebody else told me it was really good, I once tried ice cream and ketchup. So are there some people that might try that? Possibly. I honestly can't tell you who, though.
All right. Marty is asking, is there life on Venus?
Yes. Nice people, very artistic, very creative individuals, but they have an alliance with the Martokians on Mars because the Venusians, they're great where it comes to creative stuff and absolutely useless where it comes to combat. You know, I mean, if you want to invade a planet, that's the one to invade. They've got no combatants. Of course, the Martokians will complain. Which is why I get a kick out of the people that go, let's colonize Mars. I think in human vernacular, that's actually called invading Mars, because it's already occupied. You know?
All right.
Which I see that causing a bit of a problem.
Moving on here, Nicole or Nikki is asking, Keith, have you ever met any of the king or highest of the hierarchy of any of the ETs you have met? If so, what are they like?
Well, I ended up dealing with the Swazians I'm the most frequent with, but I've actually dealt with the Council of 12 that runs the Consortium. Very nice people on the whole. You know, basically you're looking at non-prejudicial. They are, and when I talk about non-prejudicial, they don't even look at their own people any differently than they look at anybody else. That's how they get on with the council. When you talk to the King of the Drakes, I mean, if you want somebody to look down on you, he looks down on everybody, and never mind the fact he's 15 feet tall to start with. I mean, he just literally will look down on you because you're not a Drake. You know, doesn't matter what race you are, you're just not good enough.
All right, moving on. Let's see where we're going to go here. Let's go to Antonio. Keith, have you heard of a war going on behind our sun?
Well, yeah. Sorry, that came out wrong. It's like, well, doesn't everybody know about it? That war, the Mobians are caught right smack in the middle of it. But that war, I spotted way back in the. You remember when BBSs that was your mainstay? You know, BBSs and the IRQ stations. I found out about that war at that point, and at that time, I know that the human governments already knew about it. So it's been going on for quite some time over there.
Okay. Are we in any trouble from that?
Are we still in existence?
You can't ask a question with a question. All right, let's move on. Double DJ is asking, is there an identical twin Earth casing the Mandela effects?
Is there a twin to Earth? That would be Mobius on the far side of the sun in Earth orbit. Is it casing the Mandela effects? I'm not quite certain I understand the way that question is.
I don't know either.
Okay.
I don't know either. Let's move on. Greco, Opa to you, my friend, is asking, does Planet X exist in our solar system?
Only technically, as near as I've come to understand, Planet X is not a planet. It's a ship.
Like a Death Star.
Try that again?
Like a Death Star from Star Wars.
Well, essentially, except it's not there. It's not bent on the same idea. The reality is, if it were a planet coming in on the trajectory it's coming in on, it would throw the entire gravimetric field in the solar system completely out of whack and destroy everything they hear. The only way a vehicle of that size could come in is if it is capable of shielding, of modifying the emanations around it to cut down on the gravimetric impact. But that, what they are calling Planet X, is an Anunnaki world ship. And yeah, they're coming back to take a peek and see what's going on. But they're not here to invade anybody.
All right.
Which is probably a good thing.
All right, let us continue here. And let's go to, let's see here. So many questions. Sovereign is asking, what facial features and characteristics can we look out for to figure out a clone?
Well, number one, I mean, quite frankly, if it's a human clone, they stand out like a sore thumb. If they are if you're looking at an off-world clone, the odds are you're not going to know it. It's kind of like trying to spot an adopted person by just looking at them. You know, I mean, you're talking about, unless you can actually see into the subquantum field, the odds of you actually noticing what a clone is are slim to non-existent. At least from my understanding.
All right. Robert's asking, can you issue a parking ticket to an alien who does not feed the meter?
Sure you can, but whether he'll ever be back in the neighborhood before you're dead is another question.
Chris Mo is asking, how and when would Earthlings be accepted into the Consortium?
As far as member planet goes, when mankind gets it through their head that they are all one species and need to work together, then that is the earmark that they use, the earmark to say, okay, are they worth looking at to bring in as a member? Until then, Earth is a protected planet, but it's not a quarantine planet. It's protected in as much as this race is on the verge of either getting it straight or decimating themselves to the point of who cares for another 10,000 years. You know.
All right, moving on here. Nicole, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm just listening away, taking notes, actually.
You are a busy lady. Greg wants to know, do the off-worlders have a planet-killing weapon? Would they ever use it?
Number one, the answer is absolutely they do. And would they ever use it? Certainly. Whenever a member race, a member of the Consortium, whenever their race violates Consortium dictates, they are volatilely removed from the Consortium. And the way they do that is they literally explode the planet that houses their primary, secondary, and more often than not, their tertiary governments. I mean, I was on the flagship of the Consortium a while back, and they showed me their weapon system. And I'll tell you, this is the kind of firepower you're up against if these guys decide to invade anywhere. Their main gun, if you take the HMS Titanic, the one that we've got here, well, the one that sank, right? You turn that broadside and shove it into the barrel of their main gun, you've still got room to maneuver. You know, this is one of the things one of the reasons why the off-worlders will not show people the weapon systems they've got. Because mankind has this funny idea that, oh, we don't know what that does. Let's push this button and see what that does. Well, you know, with a computer on Earth, pushing a button to see what it does, or on a toaster, who cares? When you're dealing with firepower that can detonate a sun, you might not want to have children pushing buttons.
It can suck. It can suck. That is for sure. R. Keith Andrews, Nicole, Sakach are here tonight on Spaced Out Radio for the ET Connection. As you're taking notes, Nicole, do you have any questions for Ron?
Actually, I do. I want to know if you have an ET best friend. And if you do, what is that person like?
Well, best friend is a little hard to put, but Kulak he's an 8-foot Spazazian. Okay, Fenian isn't actually an alien. If we take a look at Mariah is an ancient race. Just trying to think who else I know from off-world. Because I've got a number of friends that aren't, but Kulak would be what I would call your best friend. Yeah, like one of the better ones. He's been around for a coon's age.
And how did you guys meet?
Well, quite frankly, I met him because of the fact that when I was 20 months old, when I was 5 months old, the Strazazians were the one that actually put me back together, and I met Kulak while I was dealing with it, or more to the point, he met me and then tracked me down after I was put back on Earth.
Wild. That's awesome.
All right, moving on here. Corey is asking, Keith, have you ever had relations with an extraterrestrial female?
I won't talk to people about what I've had with terrestrial females, so that question is just off limits.
All right. Did she still respect you in the morning? Oh, thanks, Corey, for taking this off track. All right, moving on here. Dawn is asking, is the Galactic Federation's mission to love and light on Earth and helping us raise our global vibration?
Oddly enough, no. Their dictate is to protect the planet and to maintain Terran sovereignty. In other words, make sure that humans remain the caretakers of planet Earth, or what they refer to as Fall 4. Okay, their doctrine is not to make sure mankind wakes up. There are a number of them that are trying to help educate humans so that humans can get it through their head that, they are not alone, and people are getting the message. They are not alone. But the side effect of that is they also have to try and educate humans to realize that just because they're not human up there does not mean they are a lesser race. And there are a staggering number of humans that look at people that are not exactly like them and go, they're not as good as us. Right. And the off-worlders, the biggest difference between the off-worlders and humans is the off-worlders have much better toys.
Okay,
but,
let's move on here because we got a bunch of questions here still coming on in. Lori is asking, or pardon me, that was a comment that she put in. Ross is asking, did you ever get Graham's second letter of art for your aliens, and did it help you in the second book?
Did it ever? Not that I'm aware of. And as for that, the unfortunate part there is I haven't got because I'm looking for, and I sent him a letter about that. But what I'm looking for is very, I need things that are very identifiable. That I can. Did it help with some of the first set? I didn't see the second set come in at all. But
okay. Sovereign is asking, have you seen green plasma throughout trees? Throughout trees. What is it?
That happens to be the line. That's the life force. That's literally bioenergy you're looking at. For those of you that can actually see energy fields in the first place, you're looking at bioluminescence, also known as an auric field.
Sovereign is asking, is it aliens or Sasquatches that cleanly chop off the tops of trees?
Well, I've yet to see a Sasquatch cleanly trying to chop off any tree, so the water would be known to do it, and there's a number of ways of a number of situations that could cause that. But it's certainly, as far as I'm aware, I've never heard of a Sasquatch climbing a tree to top it.
Okay, let's move on here. Which races are conducting the chemtrails, and what exactly are they spraying?
Well, the exact chemicalogical configuration I can't tell you, but the chemtrails are being done by humans. The funny part is that the humans are also putting out a secondary set of chemtrails. It's an interesting ongoing battle, but it's the humans that are doing that to themselves.
Are elementals and the Fae the same thing, and are they related to hellhounds and reptilians?
Well, number one, I'm still having trouble with what the Fae actually, with what the designation of Fae actually is, but I can tell you this. Elementals are multiple races unto themselves. So no, they are not the same thing. They may fall under Fae classification, because I'm still trying to piece that together. As far as are they related to hellhounds and reptilians? No. Reptilians are another race altogether. And hellhounds are, well, they run with the daemon, which is another race.
Greco is asking, do you have any more info on the Alaska Pyramid?
Well, I can tell you it's got a portal underneath it. It's got an access point underneath it. I don't know, I do not know, because I haven't researched any of that side of it, but I can tell you, if they've gotten into the lower chamber, under the center of the lower chamber, there is an access tunnel. Now, whether mankind has figured out how to get to it is another question altogether.
Nicole, we got 2 minutes left.
Yes.
You excited by that? I gotta ask.
I am a little.
I gotta ask both of you, and I'll ask it publicly here. Should we skip the news tonight and just continue on? There's a ton of questions left from the audience, and this being our first show of 2021, they want their R. Keith and Nicole.
Well, I've got absolutely
no.
You game?
I've got nowhere to be.
Me either. Keith, you good with that? All right, that's what we're going to do. We'll continue on, and we got about 90 seconds here before we have to go, so let's get another question in. Why are entrances into underground cities guarded by cryptids?
Well, because humans are afraid of cryptids. And better to be afraid of the cryptids, not go in there, than to go in there and then find out what's really down there. Because if you think the nightmares you're having up here are nightmares, what goes on in the inner earth would make most people's nightmares look like a walk in the park. I think that's the easiest way to put it.
Mario is asking, as we got about 45 seconds, is the Mandela effect caused by aliens?
No. That is caused by the subquantum impact of the temporal and spatial interface. Basically, nature creates that effect is caused by nature.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought that. I thought it was about a timeline shift.
Timelines don't shift. That's the funny part.
I'm going to break your glass. I'm going to break your glass.
So it's like a natural occurrence based on our collective consciousness?
No. Well, I mean, you could call it that, but it's a natural occurrence caused by the existence of the physical reality.
All right, guys, I'm going to get you to hold on. We're going to skip the news. Captain Shirk isn't going to like me for it, but that's okay. It's show number 1 of 2021. The Art Keith Andrews ET Connection. Special guest Nicole Sakach here as well. We're going to go right to the end of the show with this one. It's a lot of fun. Stay tuned. Yeah, the questions are just keep firing. No point in shutting it down.
No, not really. And I got no problem. I mean, I gotta say, I could not be more. I don't think I could be more honored than to have this kind of a response to light the year off.
It's kind of cool. Even Nicole's enjoying it.
Always.
And she doesn't like anything.
Nope.
Okay, she's just gonna throw something at you.
Oh, probably a shoe or something.
My left shoe.
Well, if it's Bill Cosby's shoe, that might hit you. Because if you remember Bill Cosby, he had the boomerang shoe.
That was Eddie Murphy. That was Eddie Murphy's Aunt Bunny, the boomerang shoe.
Bill Cosby's shoe was full of like roofies and quaaludes, wasn't it?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, remember when Eddie was a kid and he was talking about Aunt Bunny coming to get him? And his mom had the boomerang shoe. Mm-hmm. That's one of the classics. One of the classics. You know, I would love to see Eddie Murphy go back on tour. I would. I mean, Delirious was awesome. Raw was fantastic. Love to see him go back.
Oh, did me wrong. There we are. Yeah, it has been a very. Yeah, it's been a very. You catch that, Nicole? In YouTube, Sovereign Cosmic Wildman has said, "I want Nicole's shoes."
Also known as Sovereign Farts. That's what he goes by.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep. 133 people still watching. They love the Arkeith.
Well, you can't. It's funny. I was when we were on break earlier. I noticed there's a number of people have been asking about Nevada 2021, and like I told them, if I get an invite and the border opens up, I've got no qualms. I'd love to come down.
Oh yeah, we have to. We have to.
We just need an invite to go. That's all.
Well, that'll be my party. So, with all of them, so we're gonna. Of course, you're invited. Everyone's invited. Even Corrance, the booking guy, is invited.
I thought Corrance, the booking guy, was dead, and now it's dead Corey, or Corrance died, or Corrance's ghost.
Oh,
if we can bring him without paying for him.
Yeah. All right, guys, we have Keith sticking around for the next part of the show, same as Nicole. So make sure you repost your questions if I haven't got to them yet, because I don't want to miss any, and saves me from having to scroll because I'm in a lazy mode tonight. Lazy mode. Keith, when's the border going to open up?
Well, if everything goes the way it looks like, we're probably looking at March.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought too. March or April.
Yeah.
And then we got 2 months to prepare. We're going to give the audience 2 months.
I don't know, guys. I think it's going to open up later. I'm thinking like July. That's what I've been getting.
I don't know. I sort of gave up trying to figure out which way the government's going to go with it. But, you sort of have to follow what they do, because if the borders are closed, well, let's face it, going across the border is going to be a bit of a problem. Because I don't know about you, but I'm not into sneaking across the border.
No, we won't. We won't sneak across. But I mean, once the border opens up, we'll have a party in Vegas. You've never been to Vegas, have you?
No.
No. Yeah, it's time. Vegas needs our Keith Andrews. Vegas needs
Oh.
our Keith Andrews. All right. We have. Let's see here. I think we have about 20 seconds. Oh, here we go. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us on our first show of 2021. We really do appreciate each and every one of you being here tonight. Want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with the ET Connection. Our Keith Andrews is here with special guest Nicole Sakach as we continue with your audience questions. Normally we do the news at this time. I'm going to take the heat from Captain Shirk over this one, but the questions just keep coming. So Keith wants to hang around. Nicole wants to hang around. So that's what we're going to do. Keith, Nicole, welcome back.
And thanks for having us. And welcome back for everybody that keeps joining us. I mean, the questions tonight have been phenomenal.
All right. Let's start out with a football cat who is asking, are humans the only ones chased off our moon?
No. But they are the only ones that really take offense to it. You know.
What's on the moon that's caused that, though?
They have an entire trading set. It's a way station. You know, so I mean, the people that get chased off, and aside from the humans, which keep going there, everybody says we haven't been to the moon in 30 years. Well, yeah, 30 years is an awful short time compared to considering. But no, they chase off your vagabonds and hijackers and the smugglers and what have you. But the humans are the one race, because humans as a species have not evolved to the point of being able to really, as a unit, look at the fact that they are not alone. You know, humans still look at the space going, oh yeah, there might be aliens out there, but they're way out there and we don't have to worry about dealing with them. Which, granted, worrying about it is kind of pointless anyway, but they are a lot closer than humans on the whole believe.
Okay, Troy is asking, do the aliens visiting Earth represent governments from other planets, or do they simply come here because they can?
That's sort of a combination, but in answer to the question that seems to be insinuating, as far as I'm aware, nobody is trying to align with a specific government on Earth, because the Consortium itself is looking at the species as a unit. They're not picking sides. Now, there are different races that will deal with different species here, or with different races here, or different nationalities, if you will. Right, but none of them are working on it from a military standpoint. That's an absolute forbidden area.
Dan, who's new to our chat room, welcome, Dan, is asking, what happens to us if we don't want to be a part of the Galactic Federation?
Don't go to the meetings. Or is he? I'm guessing he's referring to, as a species, if the humans, when they get to that point that they're asked, if they turn the option down, because it's inside Consortium space, the planet will still be left to the humans. It still will not be invaded. Right. But mankind, it's a voluntary issue. Right. So if humans as a species go, no, we don't want to be a part of it, they don't have to be. They just have to realize that's kind of like saying, we don't want to be the people of Philadelphia in the States go, we don't want to be part of the States. So the States as a whole goes, okay, you're not. So they seal the borders and go, you deal with your stuff and we'll deal all around you.
All right. Ready to move on?
Absolutely.
Nicole, any questions?
No. I think I was thinking more of a comment, like.
Go ahead.
Well, I was still thinking about how to word it correctly, I guess. No, go ahead and move on.
All right.
It'll come to.
Let's do that. All right. Brett Lewis is asking, how much of the current solar activity and related earthquakes in volcanoes popping off are due to off-world intervention?
As far as the solar flares and what have you, as far as I'm aware, absolutely zip. That is a natural evolution of a fusion reactor. As far as the volcanoes going boom, most of that is actually not caused by off-worlders. It's caused by human negative interactions. It's literally the negative energy being propagated by mankind fighting with itself that is essentially giving Earth a stomachache.
Sounds good. Greg is asking, I have Scandinavian ancestry. Would the Nords accept me as one of their own?
The fact that you're asking means they haven't already. Okay, the fact you've got Scandinavian ancestry, well, in all fairness, all that means is that your ancestors were around when they were walking here. And they kind of got chastised when the Consortium, when the elites of the Consortium showed up and went, this idea of playing God is just not going to work anymore. Go home.
Reverend Keith is asking, what legal or moral theory gives these off-worlders the right to operate on our planet?
Well, legal authority.
Or moral.
Before human civilization evolved. So if you want to look at it from a legal standpoint, it'd be a grandfather issue. They were here first. Okay, as far as moral authority, well, it's sort of an issue of, well, they're here, so let's take a look. Mankind does the same thing with other species. Right, with what they consider lesser species. Mankind does exactly the same idea by grabbing fish and tagging them to track them, by grabbing tigers and elephants and what have you, and taking samples and tracking them and letting them go loose. It's the same thing, especially in the off-worlders' eyes.
Okay, moving on. Bigfoot Rob is asking, ask Keith, can or have aliens provided us with sophisticated algorithmic intelligence to neutralize damage done to our civilization perpetrated by social media?
Technically, the answer would be yes. Has mankind put it to use? No. It's amazing how the information that the off-worlders have turned over to mankind. It's amazing how much of it dies on the table because mankind is trying to find a way to capitalize on it. I mean, there are ways of solving the problem that are very effective, but extremely invasive, and mankind would not appreciate them anyway.
All right, let's move on. Nikki is asking, how many races of ET felines are there?
That I'm aware of? Well, The Lyrans, there's a number of different races of them. So between the Lyran and the Laborian, you're looking at quite a staggering number. And it's only a ballpark, but I'd say you're probably looking at in excess of 20. And probably way more than that if you go into the outer reaches.
Sounds good. Let's continue on. Antonio is asking, sorry to pester you again on this question, Keith, but who are the species fighting the war behind the sun and why?
The Teklik and the Strazazians are in a full point battle on that side of the sun. And the why is because the Tekliks like the idea of lunch on a smorgasbord on Earth. And the Strazazians are kind of against the idea. Okay, and of course, the Consortium, much as they have told the Teklik flat out you can't, well, they told everybody you can't do that, you still have rogue ships that are still trying to pull it off. And then, of course, because you've got a battle going on there in the first place, new races coming in spot the battle and, well, they frankly join it. Some of them because they're just volatile individuals. And it's like, oh, they've got a brawl going on. Let's get involved. You know. But the biggest part over there is to stop the culling of Earth, which is completely against the Consortium's dictate.
All right, let's continue on here. Robert is asking, do governments around the globe have subversive agreements with aliens and kept them a secret from us?
Many of them, yes. And the fact of the matter is, well, I call it fact, but number one, many of the governments around the world know of off-world presence here. And as far as we understand it, the human governments have been told, do not reveal en masse that we're here because it will totally destroy your entire superstructure of society. Okay, your entire spiritual platform that you're trying to build a world on will completely collapse overnight, and you'll have nothing but chaos. And in answer to the few people that go, well, it wouldn't bother me, it is amazing how many people have said that and been absolutely panic-stricken when they ran into something. I have no doubt that people going, it wouldn't bother me, honestly believe that. It's not a question of them trying to be macho, it's just those people are that focused on the idea of I really want to see one. The way I heard it put one day was, it's a very big difference between believing in something, in theory, and having it right there in front of your face.
All right, moving on here. Sovereign is asking, humans are not native to Terra. Were humans portaled from place to place throughout Stargates or UFOs? Does that explain why there are non-seafaring tribes on remote islands?
Number one, humans are native to Terra. They were built here. Humans have, however, colonized other planets in the past, Mobius being a prime example. This is not the first time mankind has gotten being a spacefaring race. Okay, and as for there being non-seafaring tribes on different islands around the globe, well, that's because if you go back to their ancestors, okay, and let's say they had a ship that they were out on, like a large ship they were out on, and got shipwrecked, and didn't have the materials or the wherewithal to rebuild it, to build another ship. They couldn't get back off, so they just evolved where they were. The Strazazian and the Tormanon are prime examples of that happening off-world, because they are both descended from the Drakes for exactly the same reason.
Okay, moving on. Football Cat wants to know, do aliens abduct morbidly obese people?
Sometimes. Do understand, morbidly obese people have a different metabolism that does bear study. Right, but that being said, again, it depends entirely on what they're trying to research, but they will take people of all walks of life. All walks of life, all physiological configurations.
Human Carl is asking, if there is an alien war on the other side of the sun, why can't we see it as we rotate around the sun?
Well, the best I can tell you there is they also know how to cloak themselves so you can't see it in the first place. Mankind's technology is primitive, to say the least. Okay, like for instance, even on this planet, I know in Japan, I saw an article in Japan that the semis in Japan have technology to show the other cars what's in front of the semi. Okay, so that when they're trying to pass on the blind corners and what have you, you can see what's coming. Now, picture that taken to its ultimate level. Off-world technology is such that human radar and human optical observational techniques don't work. Not on the whole.
Makes sense. Continuing on here, Sovereign is asking, how do the Raelians fit into all of this?
Well, we have a problem there. I don't know the name. Doesn't mean I don't know the race, it just means I don't know the name.
Well, we'll let you look that up for next time. Continuing on, why do... where to go here? Jeez whiz, I hate it when this happens in the chat room. It jumps by me here. All right. Chrismo is asking, has the Consortium power over time and space and furthermore other dimensions as well?
Does it have power over time and space? No,
Yes.
it's subject to time and space's dictates. And there is no jumping from everything I've been shown. There is no jumping between dimensions. Okay, everything that is here, there are different vibratory rates that ships and peoples move at. But they are all third dimensional. But the Consortium does not, they do not have a, time cops, as it were. And they do not govern that side of it at all. They simply work with the laws as they are in place, like the natural laws.
Greco is asking, what if an alien god was human and they recreated humans in hopes of finding another god?
Well, number one, if that were the case, if there were a god on this planet, an actual god, number one, they wouldn't go looking for it looking like a human. Okay, I mean, it's an interesting idea, but gods can sense other gods. They don't have to go looking for them. They know where they are. There's a lot of people that seem to think that they themselves are God, but,
Right.
I call it religious differences.
Sovereign is asking, why do indigenous people get targeted for abduction and paranormal harassment more than others?
Well, considering every person on this planet is indigenous.
First Nations.
I would have to say that the ones that he's referring to are being targeted because they're First Nations, because that happens to be that specific races or that specific pod's level of analysis.
Do you not think it has anything to do with their connections to Mother Earth, the history, the stories, the prayers, everything that kind of goes along with their amazing culture?
If you were to ask me that 200 years ago, I'd have said absolutely 100% yes. But unfortunately, in my personal opinion, from what I've personally seen, most of the people that are so-called First Nations or indigenous people carry themselves very much like white people or Westerners. There is not a lot of difference in their philosophy anymore. 200 years ago, if you look at the base root, absolutely they had a better connection. And that would definitely have got the attention and may well still have some bearing on it as far as the timeline of it goes.
All right, let's move on here. And let's go. Who are the shadow people, and do they wear devices on their wrists?
Some of them may wear a device on their wrist, but the shadow people are watchers. In other words, all they do is they come in, they watch what's going on. Of course, you've got the watchers and the black-eyed children are tied together. Black-eyed children are basically young watchers, and of course, as with all children, they don't necessarily do what they're supposed to.
We got time for one more question here. And let's go to Robert here. Seems to me that the aliens are dealing with the wrong Earthlings. Could this be true?
If he knows where there's other Earthlings, I'm sure they'd like to know about it. You know?
Yes, but I guess if you're dealing with governmental ones that are still under a military-industrial complex, that might be difficult.
This is the big issue there. They started with the governments. They moved to the corporations, both of which proved to be faulty approaches. So they went to the individuals. Right. Many of the people that people are calling absolutely weird or completely out to lunch, the reason the off-worlders seem to turn to them is because they don't have a tendency of keeping the stuff from the rest of the population.
Keith, a great way to kick off 2021 for us here on Spaced Out Radio. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you very much for having me again.
And Nicole Sakach, who's just there to smile and make us look good. On a professional.
I am smiling.
I know you are. Thank you. Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you, and thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. We got Mr. Ron Bubblefoot rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bubblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight on YouTube, LGAS, Spreaker, Revolution Radio, the SOR Space Travelers Club, Facebook, and everyone on Twitter, hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, say it with me, we own the night. Mr. Bubblefoot. We need a finger to fall. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the first time in 2021. But soon, my friends, we're going to ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. Good job, guys. Good job. A way to kick off a solid first night of Woo of 2021. Keith, you're amazing.
Well, thank you very much. It was a riot.
Well, it should be.
Oh, really nicely.
It should be. That's good stuff you did there, Keith. Lots of hardcore Woo in there tonight.
Was good.
Yeah, it's funny.
I was going to say, I've really been enjoying your videos you've been posting on YouTube.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I got another couple tomorrow. I get a couple more up tomorrow. Of course, I'll tape a couple more tomorrow and then get one up, and then a little while later I'll get another one up. But I'll tell you, ever since I started putting the Races of the World's videos out, aside from being told I'm a complete basket case on occasion, but you're going to get that. You know, I've ended up selling most of the copies that I had. I've got to get in touch with my printer now and make sure that she gets a bunch of a new batch printed so I can actually get them out.
Nice.
To 4 copies. Yep. Down to 4 copies of Races of the World, so I better get another backup order.
Congratulations on that. That's awesome.
Well, the idea from my standpoint is simple. I want to get into the issue of just the talk shows, just the books. The rest of it I'd like to walk away from, but right now it pays the bills.
Right.
I hear you. Nicole tries to get away from this show all the time, but it pays the bills.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying.
I'm trying to work more at my real job. I just can't get enough. Until I can do ufology 24/7, I'll keep cooking.
Don't call yourself just a cook. You're a pretty damn good researcher too.
Oh, I try.
It's all good. It's all good. Hey, Molotov, how are you? Hey, and I apologize if I didn't get to your questions earlier. You know, it's something that chat room was cruising tonight. Cruising. Derek says, make sure to thank R. Keith Andrews. From him, he is an intergalactic treasure. Yes, you are, Keith. You are an intergalactic treasure.
Well, I do appreciate that very much. Thank you very much.
Derek's a professional woo connoisseur.
Yeah.
Even states it on his Twitter account.
I'd like to nominate Keith as our first ambassador to the Consortium, should we ever get there. We're going to need one, right?
In time.
Yeah.
I'm already watching the show anyway, so what the heck? You know?
Hey, Star A, how are you? Welcome to the show. We're hanging out. R. Keith, myself, the lovely and talented Nicole Sakach, who brings the looks up by 150%.
You guys.
It all works for me. As I just sit here and edit. I'm just another brick in the wall.
You got to edit out a F-bomb. It wasn't mine.
Yeah, no, that happened during the commercial. So.
Oh, you're all good then. You're all good.
Yeah, nobody swore during the show.
That's good.
Yeah, nobody swore during the show.
It'll never happen. Just never let me talk about The Rock and his little black spandex on air again.
Yes, that's bad. That's bad. I remember your lustful comments. All right. Sovereign says the F-bomb was fart. Oh, Keith, we need some oil for your chair.
Yeah, I know. I was supposed to. I've got the WD-40 here. I just forgot to do it today because things were this weekend. And well, this has just been a nutty turnover.
Yes. Hey, Overbuilt, how are you? We don't ask pandemic questions. Pandemic is like politics and everything else here. I'm cutting it right off. Sorry. Let's go here. Where is that one? That should be right about here. Yeah.
That's an interesting. It depends on how you look at it. I mean, I get a kick out of this. Who is it? Oh, DJ. He goes, did Keith grow up off-world? Well, technically, I didn't grow up, but I've spent probably just about a third of my time off-world. When I was a kid, I used to tell people, get me off this rock. I should have made it a little more clear and said, don't bring me back. But But no, it was funny. We found out the first positive memory I actually had was on the deck of a starship watching an Earthrise.
Nice.
That threw the doctor for a loop when he found that one out.
All right, there's that one, and I believe there's. Give me 2 seconds here, guys. I just need to see if this is the end. Nicole, Sakach, research assistant Greg Cameron, and experiencer. That's loud. God, I gotta turn that down. Why is that coming through so loud again?
Good reception?
No, that isn't good. It's bleeding. The music is bleeding over me, so I gotta turn that down even more here. Holy cow. Okay, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, this is why I don't do technological work. That because when I get frustrated, I fry the poor computers.
Oh well. Radio stations could do what they want. I'm tired of editing this shit. It is tiresome. You put in 3 hours of work, and not that I'm complaining or anything, because I'm thankful for the opportunity. But there's nothing worse than, you just work 3 hours, and now you got to work another half an hour at cutting it all up. The show takes a lot out of you. It does, but...
Oh, it does. This is why when I'm doing my videos, I tell people I do live recording, meaning I don't edit, period.
Yeah, I try to avoid editing.
I haven't got a clue how to, so I just don't see the point in fighting with it.
Sucks.
I've taught myself, so I know I could do it better, but it's like Dave just said, it's you spend all this time recording something and then you go back to edit it, and it almost takes half the time that you recorded to edit anything. 2
awesome people here on... Yeah, you're right. Can you guys hear that when I'm playing it, Nicole? On Spaced Out Radio, kickoff hour number 3 next.
No.
Okay.
Nope. No, on my end.
Okay. Cool.
No, I know there's an awful lot of work that goes into doing the editing and the upkeep once you're done. When the show's finished.
Oh, yeah.
People seem to think, oh, you do a 3-hour show and then you get off the air and you put it up. But as near as I can figure, you're probably looking at another, 2 hours of editing anyway.
Not that long. It's only about 30 minutes it takes, but I mean, it's just a pain in the butt, It's monotonous.
Yeah.
You've been sitting in the chair the entire time, and hold on. With this one, it's a lot of fun. Stay tuned. Sounds like shit.
What takes a lot of my time is trying to find a appropriate picture for a thumbnail. I'm always afraid that I'm going to use a picture that somebody doesn't like, or,
See, when I go to post, I only get an option of 3, so that's all I use. I just take whatever. I take one of the 3 that they give me. Of course, I'm not what we call technologically advanced. Actually, that's not entirely correct. It's just I don't handle this stuff well.
Because it all changes so fast. Right when I get used to doing something one way on a platform,
Remember, this show is copyright by
changes. I'm still mad about MySpace, by the way.
I was never on MySpace.
I was for a little while, but I had trouble with the whole 9 yards of technology at that time. So when I lost track of it, that was the end of it. I may still have an account there for all I know. I don't even know if they exist anymore, though.
I think they still do.
They were bought out by Microsoft, weren't they?
I have no idea myself.
I think they were bought out by Microsoft, and then Microsoft did its typical Microsoft bullshit and kind of ruined it. And the guys ran off with billions of dollars.
I can't picture them. Oh, Sovereign Cosmic is saying MySpace ended web designer jobs. In the YouTube.
Is that because everybody could design their own stuff?
I'm guessing. Yeah.
I still can't design my own websites, so I don't have a website.
I hate my website. I do. I love it and I hate it at the same time. I mainly hate it because I don't know how to make it the way I want, and the way I want it would probably cost me a lot of money that I don't have.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all. I mean, that's the frustrating part on my part. I keep telling people I am very, very mechanically inclined. Every time I'm inclined, I call a mechanic. I have the same problem with computers. You know, but I'm one of these weird people that is quite willing to go, I have no clue what I'm doing with Terran technology.
I don't either.
Neither do the Terrans.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I had to change my hat because my head was getting so sweaty underneath the last one.
You did change.
I totally did. I did a 3-hat wardrobe switch tonight.
Yeah.
Bell of the ball.
Corrins is still looking for the horny female Bigfoot.
I'm happy.
I went to college with her, Southeast Missouri State. I could get a little meaner, but I won't.
That could go. That whole conversation. And that whole conversation could go a very, shall we say, non-professional level.
What about
very nice
Southwest Missouri State? You guys have a university for everything up down there.
We kind of do.
All right.
I said Southeast Missouri State, but yes, Southwest as well. You know where Southeast Missouri State is. It's in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. There's lots of UFOs.
It's in Southeast Missouri, but you know.
Yes, because I'm up on Southwest Missouri.
Well, you've heard of Cape Girardeau and the UFO crash that supposedly happened there, and there's lots of activity.
Very true. Very true. 1 second here. Everyone in the chat room, it is time to put up your 6-digit verification code to see if we can get you verified for tonight. So make sure you put it on in there, and that way we can verify tonight's show, if you don't mind. Let's see here. We're almost there. Sorry, got to get to this. 101. Upload that. Okay. Your 6-digit verification code is 313731. 313731. Verify wisely, space travelers, because you don't want to be unverified going into the first weekend of 2021. That's good cheating there, Sovereign. And Human Carl and Sandra. Oh, and Football Cat and Marty. Oh, you cheaters. Cheaters. And Yola Tango. All of you cheating to start the year. Shame on you. And Greg, too. Greg, I thought you were better than this. Thought you were better. Thought you were stronger. I expected it from Marty and Human Carl. But the rest of you, and Sandra I expected it from too. But the rest of you, my goodness. All right. Yeah. Sorry, I had to get that through.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We'll forgive you.
I appreciate that, Arkeith. I appreciate that. Makes you want to break into song.
No, I gave up singing decades ago for a reason.
Nicole, how about a song for us? How about a song?
Oh, what do we want to sing? I have little kid songs stuck in my head right now, like The Wheels on the Bus or...
Well, if Zoe Buttercup was here, we could sing the Zoe Buttercup song. You know, my Zoe Buttercup has the cutest smile. Come on. You don't know that one?
I don't know that one.
It's from the Three Amigos. My little Buttercup has the cutest smile. So I just changed it to Zoe Buttercup.
Great film.
Mm-hmm.
Love Steve Martin and Martin Short and Chevy Chase. Talk about a trio.
I'm so gonna see if that's on Amazon Prime tomorrow. I need to see that. I haven't seen that movie in years.
I think I need to see it now too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Where do you think I got my favorite word from? What is a plethora?
You know, the whole time I lived in Chicago, it was about 10 years, I wanted to run into two people, and it never happened. I wanted to run into Chevy Chase, because there's a whole, like, intricate boulevard named Chevy Chase Boulevard. I'm sure I would just run into him, you know, somewhere in that vicinity. Never happened. And then I always wanted to just, like, run into John Cusack, like walking down the streets of Chicago. That never happened either.
I ran into the dude from, the guy who played Travis Walton on Fire in the Sky.
Yeah,
Really?
Travis Walton.
No, the actor. And I ran into him in the elevator of a Vancouver, coming down from the press box of the Vancouver Canucks game. Yeah. And
he was in a hockey movie too, wasn't he?
I don't know. I
think.
But I ran. Let's see, who else? I was going down the stairs one night and nearly tripped into Joe Perry from Aerosmith.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. Sat beside Ben Roethlisberger in the press box one night. There's just so many. Caught Tom Arnold. Remember when Tom Arnold had his sports television show? Forget what it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ran into him at a Canucks game. Him and his crew were smoking a joint in the hallway of the stairs. That was kind of funny. Walking from one end of the press box to another, I see this giant dude. It must have been about 6'7", like 400 pounds worth of muscle, and this little tiny blonde in front of him, and it was Christina Aguilera.
Oh wow.
Yes. Yeah.
I ran up to Penn from Penn and Teller at a bar that was like a block away from a comedy club. And I was like, "Are you Penn from Penn and Teller?" Which I completely knew it was him. And he said, "Sometimes X equals X," and turned around and walked away.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Oh, I can't remember half the people I partied with when I was in radio. It was crazy. It was just crazy because you never knew. I remember I had this crush on. Do you know who Diana Krall is? She's a jazz artist married to Elvis Costello.
Yeah, I didn't know who she was married to, but she's got a hell of a voice.
Oh yeah. So one night, I'm kind of looking at my cell phone, getting a text message from my boss, and I literally have my head down, and I see a person coming up right in front of me, like I'm within inches, about to walk into them because I'm not paying attention. And I see the biggest diamond I have ever seen in my life on this hand. And I look up, and it's Diana Krall. Right there. And I'm like, oh, I'm so in love with you. But you're married. Yeah. That was kind of cool. Ran into a bunch of people.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem I run into is, I mean, let's face it, I'm on the radio, yes, but realistically, I'm more of a recluse than anything else.
Me too.
Like, I leave my house when I have to go shopping, and that's about it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's kind of famous people when you don't leave your house.
Yeah, they
That's
don't
my
leave the house very much, thankfully. Yeah.
Do you guys follow MMA fighting at all?
Oh yeah.
A friend of mine is actually a fighter in there.
Nice. Back in the day, you guys recognize the name Matt Hughes?
Yep.
He's a hometown boy here. I went to high school with him, so every once in a while, I don't think so much now, but he used to always kind of train fighters or still stay in that world a lot, and then they would descend here on our hometown to kind of train with him. So yeah, that was always kind of fun to hear who was in town with him or where he was going off to.
Wasn't he like
my last house?
No, that was
what?
Forrest Griffin. Or was it Matt Hughes? One of them was a school teacher. I don't remember.
I was telling you about my last house earlier tonight, and my property of that house actually butted up against Hughes's property.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
He did well in his UFC career.
He did very well.
Very well.
But you want to talk about neighbors you love and neighbors that drive you crazy? He was kind of on the drive you crazy side. He had a firing range on his property. So all summer long, I would sit outside and I'd be, becoming one with nature, enjoying the serenity of all of it. And then you'd hear boom, boom. It's like, what's he shooting? Cannons over there?
Probably.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. He exploded something on his property once, and the repercussion was felt like 50 miles away, pissed off the entire county.
That's kind of funny.
And yeah, whatever he blew up, I'm surprised none of my windows broke, because if you've ever, I don't know, it's like the whole windows sucked in and pushed back out. It was crazy.
Well, see, I used to live under a flight path. Literally, you hit the end of the runway on the airport. 200 yards, you run into the tree line, and we were right on the other side of the tree line.
That's nuts. When I lived in St. Louis, they used to have a spot that you could go watch planes land, but it doesn't exist anymore.
They got rid of the runway?
No, they got rid of the area. They did like an airport expansion. So it took over the spot where you could like park and the planes would land right over your head. It's crazy.
No, where I grew up, they detonated a few planes over top of our house. Quite by accident, but they did detonate. Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm going to wrap things up because I'm getting tired. My neck is killing me. I will say goodnight to you, Keith and Nicole. Thank you so much for being here and kicking off the new year with us. That really meant a lot.
I appreciate it. Hell of a good start to the year. If that's any indication, your station is going to get absolutely neck and fuzz.
I hear you. I hear you. Thank you, buddy. We'll be back on Monday with
hey, before you go, did we get any closer? Did we get any closer to the 10,000?
Oh, let's check. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Hold on. Let's take a look here. We're at 99.67. So we need 23. 23.
Ooh, we did get closer, though.
We totally did get closer.
67, you need 33.
I'm feeling it. It's going to be this week.
23. We need 23 more to 10,000. I'm getting excited now. Getting excited.
Hate to pop your bubble, but 67 is 33.
23.
67 and 23.
It's 90.
He's 90.
Yeah, so 33. Sorry. You're right. 33. We need 33.
Damn it.
33.
All right. 30.
Either way, we're getting closer. We're getting closer.
Hey, 2 3s is good luck. That's what I say.
Absolutely. All right, YouTube crowd, we're going to say goodnight to you.
Good night, Keith.
Good night, everyone. We'll be back on Monday night, restarting the first full week of SOR of 2021. We got to get used to saying that now. And what's the dude's name? Corrance, where are you here? I got it here somewhere. He just sent me the schedule. Corrance says the guy's name is, all the way from Australia, Payne Endov. Payne Endov. Ancient History Extraterrestrials. And then on Tuesday, we have Geraldine Orozco with the Spiritual You. Rebs Bejant Shah talking psychic medium, astrology, and healing on Wednesday. Thursday is Christopher Peters. He's a Hollywood guy. We got him from Grant Cameron and Nicole. And, yeah. His stepmom is Barbara Streisand, or his former stepmom. And then Friday, we got Jeremiah Fountain talking Bigfoot and cryptids. That's going to be a lot of fun. So we will get to all of you guys later on, and we will talk very, very soon regarding our great new week coming up, first week of January on Spaced Out Radio. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you to Bigfoot Michigan Rob, Greg, Human Carl, John, Itzy Zaza, Fapster, Greco, and Kristen for the amazing super chats tonight. It really helps out with what we do. Have a good night, everyone. We'll talk to you on Monday.